What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex, the podcast. It is the post-championship episode. It was an awesome tournament from top to bottom. And before champs started, we brought on JHawk to talk a little bit about all the predictions and all the different things going on. JHawk is back with us once again. I like to call him Mr. Mainstage now because he's almost too big for this podcast. He's just walking around the main stage, just flaunting his knowledge left and right. Look at this guy.
That's a staff badge from LAN right there, baby.
That's right. That's right. They call him Mr. Mainstage. Mr. Mainstage, how are you feeling after, I would say is just an awesome opportunity. Not just the fact that you were on the main stage, but the fact that your voice was narrating so much cool shit. I just want you to go through this last couple days from your perspective and talk about it.
It was pretty sick, man. Not gonna lie. The esports engine people, they're the ones who run the actual event. Like EA Respawn, they don't actually run ALGS, and so they hire people out to do the LANs. And esports engine has been the people that have been running them, and they reached out to me before Split 2 playoffs, wanting to do something. But that sounded more just like me making some videos and then like in my room kind of thing, and like I normally do, and helping them out with that project. And it didn't end up coming through because I guess budget and timing issues on their side. And then they reached out to me before champs and were like, hey, we want to fly you out here. And so I got to go for free. They paid for everything: hotel, plane tickets, food, everything. Like I spent probably less than $100 while I was there, and that was on just stuff I wanted to buy. So yeah, it was pretty sick. I went out, I did a DZ video and an Oxygen video. They showed those on the main broadcast. Those are super cool. I got to interview, the teams in person in like the empty stadium while it was all going down. And we edited those, showed those during the broadcast. And then after the DZ one, they didn't ask me this initially until I was like actually there in person. And it was like the day of, and they were like, hey, we want you to be on the desk. And so that was pretty crazy because I did not expect that. And it was a pretty cool experience. And the best part about that was they started doing talent predictions. Like, well, they've always done it, but they do talent predictions of like who's going to place first in that set of games. And because I was going on the desk, they asked me mine, and I said Oxygen for that group. I was the only one, and I got it right, which was like the fact that the one time I actually was on the desk, I got my prediction right, was pretty sick. And then they kept asking me for my predictions, and they kept showing me on the graphic, and I just like botched all the rest of them, which was terrible. Like literally I picked like Fnatic and Xset, and they did terrible in the ones that I picked. That it was bad. But man, it was a crazy experience. Like, to anyone who has never been, I don't know if have you guys been to a LAN before? Any of you?
No, not
bro.
yet.
I haven't been to an Apex LAN. I've been to like a Halo LAN and stuff like that, but it's different,
dude. Being there in person is different because like the just the vibe and the energy the crowd brings is just crazy. Like, I know we're going to get into all the specific teams, but like even from day one, like Dreamfire fans, MDY White fans, Element 6 fans, like they were going crazy anytime they did anything. And they had like a lot of people in there. Like Dreamfire probably had like 150 fans in there, and they were so freaking loud. And then come like finals day, oh, dude, the crowd was just insane. Like, we'll get into it later, I know, but that game where Optic almost won at Northpad and NRG clutched up the entire arena of like, I don't know how many people were in there, like a couple thousand people are just screaming NRG, NRG. Like, it was, and you can see the players' reactions too, and Sweet's going crazy, and the Optic boys are, leaning back all upset. Like, I would highly recommend anybody go to a LAN for ALGS if they can, because it was so cool. And the players and the talent and the coaches and everything, when they're not playing during the group stages, they're always just like vibing, walking around, chilling. I don't know. It was so cool.
I think us as a podcast have committed that if there is a tournament in the United States, we're gonna go to it. Like, I think
they would give y'all media passes too. There was a lot of people that had media passes.
Just like, what does that even entail? I don't really know.
You can I don't know all the specifics because I didn't have a media pass. They just gave me a staff one, so I could do whatever, I guess.
Whatever.
Yeah, I could literally go wherever. But I assume like I saw some of the media people like backstage and everything, and so I assume you can go back there. You can go to like the players' lounge. They did have specific like rooms set up for interviews, and I think you could like request interview time and like talk to certain players and stuff.
Dude, can you imagine the trolling that we
You
would
just
do?
record like
whenever...
a 2-hour pod in the back.
Yeah.
Like the guy's like, where the fuck is he? Like the game is now. We're just back there interviewing.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think that would be great.
And I think you can get in earlier too, like before the games start, which isn't super important during group stages, because during groups, like you can kind of like there wasn't a ton of people filling out the arena, so you could just sit wherever you want, which maybe that changes in the future. But during finals and like the winners bracket and everything, it was important because people were packing in there early, dude. Finals Sunday, the line was massive, and luckily I didn't have to sit in it. So yeah.
I'm locked, dude. I'm actually so locked. I just got some chill bumps thinking about how sick it would be going to LAN. I'm upset that like I didn't go to the first one that was in the United States, but I want them to run it back in Dallas, low key, because like the Arlington one got canceled. So like, why not do it again, and then we can all meet there? I'll just drive down there. It would save a lot of money. That'd be fantastic.
That'd be sick, dude. I live in Austin, so I mean, 3 hours away.
That'd be nice for you too.
Oh yeah, dude. I selfishly want one in Texas so bad, but I just want one in NA and one in Japan, just because I think those are where the two biggest fan bases are. You know, so it'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, it was a great experience. It was awesome to watch you on the big screen. I was watching at work, and I heard your voice, and then all of a sudden, I had my headphones in, and I was moving stuff around, and they're like, "We're bringing on JHawk." I was like, "Oh shit!" I just stopped working, was just watching the whole time on my phone at work. So it was definitely cool to see you there, and I'm glad you had a good time. Great experience. Let's check in with the rest of the boys
quick,
here, and then we'll get
on the stage thing. Just want to shout out Onset because I was nervous as hell when I was walking up to like go do it, and they have all this official stuff, and you know, while the video is playing, they're setting the mic up on my head, and the guy starts talking, and then he's like, "Give me a thumbs up if like you can hear me," and I said, "What?" And I have no clue if it played in the stadium or not because none of the other guys are talking on their mics. But then Onset, he wrote on a piece of paper, he just said, "Hey," and he just held up the piece of paper, and it just, I don't know, it made me smile a little bit, and then the nerves go away. Onset's he's a homie. He's also one of the people that talked to me about all the ideas and like helped bring me out. So shout out Onset if he's listening or watching. You're a homie, man.
Beautiful stuff. Shout out Onset. Okay, boys, let's quickly go through our weeks real quick, and then we'll get right into all of the good juicy stuff about this championship. Enoch, how was your week?
It was really nice. I took a Friday off, which is something I haven't done in a long time. And I went hiking and then swimming with some friends. And it was a really fun time. And it definitely convinced me that I think the majority of people, including myself, so definitely including myself in this, are like running at a deficiency in time in nature. And I feel like the more time that somebody spends in nature, it's like the better overall life quality you have. I just genuinely think there's something positive about being out in that environment, and I don't think I do it enough. And that was like a good reminder that I want to be doing that, at least like going on hikes at least like every 2 weeks or so. And so I'm definitely going to make more of an effort to make sure I'm doing that, which is something that I'm excited for. And then ALGS, I thought that this was personally for me like the most entertaining ALGS by far, not even close. I'll be honest, the biggest day obviously is finals, and the one that like there's the most hype around, and it definitely delivered. And I think it showed a lot of people that Apex is just different as an esport from like an entertainment value. Like knowing that from like game 4 that it could have just been ended, and Optic getting there like so close so many times and just knocking on the doorsteps. Because like if Optic wins, I think that would have been huge for the esport in terms of getting a lot of that Optic fan base, which is historically a big Call of Duty scene. I feel like there would be a chance to like get a lot of people. And Scump was pulling like a fat watch party, which I think is huge for the game and something that we haven't seen, like we've seen other people do in the past. But having Scump do it of all people, I think is cool.
And he watch
and
partied
just,
like the whole
amount of
thing
people.
too. Like not just finals,
Dude,
like groups,
all the
everything.
days. Yeah, no. And so he was about it. He was with it, and it was cool. And then just like the 3-win streak. I know we're going to talk about it later, but just absolute absurd. Like the script, if it was written, they had good writers, no doubt. Like it was definitely a well-written one for sure. And yeah, so I've had a good week. I'm excited to just continue the grind and just be building all of the different things that I'm building. And this is one of them. Like this is like the fact that like we do, like I have a decent amount of people that come in to stream, like talking about how like they're fans of the pod and that they've been listening for a while. Like that's like, we're just at like the very beginning of all of this. Like I'm thinking like 3, 4, 5 years down the line, like it's just like, it's going to be cool.
We're
what we're
inviting
building.
Rogan on.
Bro, we're going to be, I mean, I'm just excited. And I think I have that outlook on all the different things that I'm working on in my life. And so it was just a good week of being reminded of that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Finn, your week.
Dude, my week's been great. I have been now, what is this? 5 days in a row where I have ran over a mile. I am training for a 5K, and for those that don't know, it's only 3.1 miles, which is like it's not that crazy. Like I think everybody on this podcast right now could go and run a 5K, but I'm gonna try and do well at the 5K at least. So that's kind of a miniature goal. But yeah, that's pretty much been my week, is just working out and continuing with my goals, which has been fun. I think, guys, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think the hardest thing is not really working out and running and doing all those things. It's eating healthy, bro. Like on my way from the gym and like going towards my house, I pass a Taco Bell. I pass a Freddy's. I don't know if you have that. It's delicious. And then like a nice Chinese restaurant, like a McDonald's, a Sonic, and it's just like, bro, they're all screaming my name as I'm going past it, and I'm like, the instinct inside me is like, oh, you can just snag a little, you know, a 5-layer burrito. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, and so anyway, I think that's been my challenge, and I've done a pretty good job of eating healthy. So meal prepping's big. Saves a lot of money, and it just helps you not eat terrible food for you. But also watched a ton of Apex, which I am very thankful for. I'm glad I got to catch up on that. Went to the Arkansas game this weekend. Shout out Woo Pig. Come on now, son. We did win. I'm very nervous about us playing BYU next week. We're probably going to get crushed. Not excited about that, but I am stoked that football is backed for those American football. Sorry, for those that are listening in the United States, and for those that are listening in Europe that would refer to it as American football. So overall, great week. Very excited to see where Apex goes as an overall esport. I think, like E said, this tournament, dude, the scale of Apex continues to go up. And so I think you can also tell with the skill as well. Like, not just the production value and all the amazing things, like the spectacle of it, but the actual gameplay itself is continuing to go higher and higher. I mean, I saw some insane plays of just so much like team camaraderie and team coordination that is just, you wouldn't have seen that a year ago. And it's just stuff like that I think we're continuing to elevate. And I'm very excited to see where the skill ceiling will continue to go in Apex. Wyatt, how was your week?
No, dude, I shit you not. The first night I went to the gym, I went to a McDonald's drive-thru and got a Sprite right after I was done. I'm not even shitting you. I was like, I need a Sprite right now. Like I did my thing. This is my reward. I didn't get any food. I just got a Sprite. Doesn't matter. I'm a big soda guy. I'm trying to kick it. I can't soda. It's been part of my life since I can remember. Anyway,
you can.
Just want to let you know that
That's bad to say out loud.
No, big soda's got me, dude. I'm gonna be honest. Big soda.
No, you can't let
dude,
big soda.
Soft drink. Big soft drink.
You can't let big soda win in here. You can't let big soda win,
bro.
Yeah, but you can break free.
I've gone through phases, Enoch, where it's like literally I remember phases of my life based on the soda I was consistently drinking at that time.
No
Like,
way.
Dude, I'm not shitting you. I can go through it. When I was about 8 to like 12, I was only Coke. Then from about 13 to 17, strictly Pepsi. I swapped. I was like, I'm done with Coke, back to
Strictly
Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Then there was a year where I was cream soda. Believe it or not, it was like the Safeway style cream soda. Made my teeth hurt, but I loved it no matter what. Then getting out of high school, I was Pepsi strictly for like 5 more years. So now I'm back to Pepsi. Then when I was cleaning pools for about 4 years, I was Mountain Dew. And I would switch between Code Red, Voltage, and the regular kind. And then right now, I was Pepsi until like 2 days ago. I picked up a Coke. And I was like, I don't know.
Going
Kinda
through a little
feeling this Coke.
transition. A little transition
Yeah, I'm
back to Coke.
transitioning. Now, throughout that entire life, there's been sprinkled in like different ones here and there. Like Dr. Pepper sometimes, but I don't know, 23 is a lot of flavors. Yeah, there's just a lot of different ones throughout this. But anyway, yeah, big soda's got me. I do agree I could kick it. There was one time I did not drink a soda for 3 months straight, and I felt great. And the worst thing about it was I ended it on a Dr. Lightning, which isn't even
What?
like
I don't even know what that
soda.
is.
It's like a random brand of soda. I didn't even end it on like a good one. I ended it on a Dr. Lightning, and then I was back in the mix. So yeah, big soda's had me for a while.
I'll say one thing, Wyatt, and you nailed it. You said after you got done with, you went straight to a McDonald's like soda. Like
McDonald's Sprite is crazy.
I agree, and I think it's because
I think they put caffeine in
they
it.
do. They put
they
put
do.
caffeine and they put like extra sugar in it. It's horrible for you, but it's so
'cause
much better.
Because normal Sprite, when you get it out of the bottle or out of the can, there's no kick to it at all. I mean, one of my favorite things about a fresh soda is the burn you get in the back of your throat. Okay, right when it's ice cold, hits the back of your throat, burn. That Sprite gives me the most intense burn. No other Sprite, no matter how cold it is, gives me any sort of burn at all. There's nothing. There's
want
nothing
intense
there.
burn in the back of your throat.
I
That's
want
what you're
intense
saying?
burn. I want burn
in
And
the
if
back
there's
of your
no
throat
burn, I'm out.
specifically, though. That's
in the back of
Big
my
soda
throat.
has just its grip. It's just stranglehold.
I'll say
all
this,
over you.
I'm done.
if you ever want to just have Pepsi ruined for you, go to the UK, because I drank a Pepsi there one day while I was there once, and it was the most flat soda I have ever had in my life. And I think it's just how they make it there. I don't know, but
yeah, they may just hate Pepsi. They're just
maybe
like,
I don't know.
let's just make it
I didn't drink.
terrible.
That was the only soda I had the whole week that I was there, and I was like, yeah, this is not worth drinking at all. Like, this is
I would
terrible.
say if I had to make a commitment at this point in my life to one soda for the rest of my life, I cannot switch. I am a Pepsi guy. People don't like that I say that because they say it's, I've heard people say it's too sweet. I feel like Coke is more sweet, but I don't know. Pepsi, if I had to commit, I'd be that. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that just so you don't feel 100% terrible, because I get you. When I leave the gym, I'm like, Sprite now. But I only did that one time. I've never done it since. Actually, I lied to you. I totally lied to you. I wait till I get home to open the Sprite. So then I'll do that. That's usually my reward, is a Sprite. No caffeine. It's not as bad. Anyway, my week was really, really good. Hockey season is right around the corner. The only reason I'm bringing up hockey season is because the Broncos suck again. So I got to look forward to the next thing. Russ Wilson did play better, though. And I'm so happy. This is my favorite thing about the Apex podcast community. There's like 3 Broncos fans who every single game, they'll just tweet me and we just talk. We just talk Broncos. And I love those guys, for real. Those are my favorite guys. Because sometimes I just need to vent it out. I'm getting bombarded from text messages from everybody being like, hey, your team sucks. And I'm like, I know. And then I have these 3 guys in my corner who are like, hey, we'll make it through. And I'm like, thank you. So, yeah, sports is basically ruling my life up to this point. Hockey's around the corner. We've got European football still on. We got American football freshly on, and I'm in full sports mode right now. But speaking of sports, let's talk esports. ALGS Championship It was incredible. There's so many storylines to get to. I think in the past, what we would normally do is go through the group stage into the bracket stage. We kind of go through each thing. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. So instead, what I've compiled, boys, is what I believe to be some of the biggest storylines going throughout this entire extravaganza, and we're going to break them down each way. And I think it'll cover most of the major topics here. But we got to start off with number one. TSM is your champion once again, and they shoved it up all of our asses. We all said this is the one where it was going to be a new champion. What?
As I recall, I'm the only one that put TSM as the winner in my prediction.
Oh,
So,
you okay?
I think it applies
we
to
just want to
you
get
three,
this out of the way. Just want to
but-
get this out of the way.
Yeah.
My predictions
I
were
gotta-
ass.
Oh my
all right,
God.
they were terrible. I
Listen,
I had some hot takes
this-
in there, but also I tried to balance it out with like X set and stuff, and then they were terrible.
Yeah.
My predictions were bad.
terrible.
I'm going to save that. I'm saving those.
Yeah,
for later.
we'll get to the predictions
man.
in a little bit because we need to talk about those because I had an all-time just terrible one that is going to follow me around for a while. But we got to give TSM their flowers here. TSM are champions once again. It was insane. It was actually insane. It's one of those things where this time it was against all odds, it felt like, because not only did they have to win 3 straight games and they didn't get match point until the game before, but also they got into the winner's bracket on the last game, winning the last game. They were the team that won the most games throughout this tournament. They were absolutely insane. Imperial Hal led the lobby in the finals lobby in kills with 22. His next teammate had 9. TSM was on a different planet. They pull out the win. They are our victors. There is no debate on who is the best IGL. There's no debate on who is the best in the world. TSM has the crown once again. They are the best. They will go down as the best. It's going to be. I can't imagine anybody topping this. I don't care if Dark Zero wins the next one. TSM is the best. The odds they fought through on this one, incredible. What do you guys think about our boys from TSM?
Well, I mean, you said it. Like, there was debate before this. The debate settled everything. The IGLing, just like you said, the whole run they had, it settled everything because it was not a conventional one. Like, they struggled to get through the winner's bracket into the finals. It took that last game where they went clutch mode there, and then, which they did get the lava siphon zone, but that's a whole nother thing. They handled their business when they had to, and then you get to the finals and literally 5 games in and they're sitting in like 16th place. 5 teams are on match point, and they follow that up by going all the way to Skyhook to win a game, which gives you hope. And then they follow that up going into Storm Point and they win a wall zone, which now they're on match point. And then game 8 hits and they win a 3rd game in a row, literally going from 16th to winning 3 games in a row and closing out the whole deal. Like, pretty crazy. I don't know. I think this was TSM's most impressive LAN win. I think it was the most impressive LAN win of any team to this point. Just considering all the circumstances. Like, a lot of the other LAN wins, you think like TSM split one, they just kind of dominated all the way through, and then they just they handled their business. Like, the only real adversity they faced was NRG reached match point first, but that was kind of it. Last LAN, I mean, DZ cruised. They were looking good. They were 4th in groups, then they got like 8th in winners, which obviously 8th is low, but like there was no struggle there. They were getting like 5-6 points a game. They made it, and then they hit match point in 3 games and they just finally closed it out. Like all the other lands, it just feels like it was kind of clear. This one, I mean, you said, even like I said, even in game 5, it felt like this was the moment we get a new LAN champion. Even after game 6, when TSM won that game, they still needed a long way to go to reach match point. It still felt like we will get a new champion. And then game 7 happens, they reach match point, and you just kind of knew. All of a sudden, with TSM on match point, everybody just kind of had this feeling like, here it comes. And then they did it.
What's with TSM and Thunderwatch, bro? Like, this team continues to win at Thunderwatch, and like, maybe the most unconventional, maybe not unconventional is maybe not the most accurate word, but This team seems to find a way whenever the zone is ending near Thunderwatch to kind of get it done. I don't know.
Also on that though, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna pull it up just to fact check here, but I'm pretty sure they did not have Beacon that game either. So they did not rotate as early as other teams could have, and so it just makes it a little more impressive because obviously people are like, it's a zone they have priority to. That's kind of lame, blah blah blah. But the fact that they didn't have Beacon that game and they still did it was pretty crazy.
I like that the most impressive fight, in my opinion, during that whole entire game was the Dojo fight. Obviously, whoever won that fight really felt like, and we'll get into what like SAF did, like start a fight with the team above. But what
to confirm, by the way, they did not have Beacon. Just looked.
That's insane. I mean, I like their rotate. I mean, it makes the most sense naturally to go uphill first, so that even if zone goes down, you have height to be able to work down. I think that's probably the logic behind it. But going uphill whenever they're in that spider cave going against Dojo, well, I mean, obviously that was the most important fight in my opinion.
The crazy part was they like the initial spot they held. I think they thought it was like a wall zone because they held that like beacon or not that beacon, the building with the like the 2 zip lines like right next to wall. And I think that's where they thought it was. But also they like gave themselves the option of rotating into the cave, like in case it did pull to Thunderwatch. And so then when it did, they went into the cave, but Dojo had zone wrapped them all the way around the top to hold out their front end, which makes it more impressive that like TSM got it done too. Because like that rotate from Dojo was pretty nasty, not gonna lie.
Yeah, Dojo should not have lost that fight.
Yeah, it was.
They just should not have lost that fight.
Yeah,
I think Enemy's going to be thinking about that in his dreams, like the next 3 weeks.
We'll see. No, I mean, I think that because Dojo very easily could have won it all if they win that fight, and this is like their first tournament.
Yeah, crazy.
And I guarantee you that there is absolutely zero chance that man Enemy. Like, I think the amount of times that Enemy is going to get caught out and die first coming in year 4 is going to be substantially less than what we saw in finals, especially like that last fight, which was pretty bad. But I think that the fact that this is their first tournament, they had that unfortunate way that the fight went, and they still got 4th. Like, that team is going to be absolutely absurd moving forward. And TSM winning that fight 100% locked in the win for them. And wait, so was TSM, they had 2-man up, right? After that fight?
Yeah, Reps was down.
Okay. And should we just transition into the SAF not drop? Like,
yeah, we got to talk about that. So, just to set the table a little bit, Team Start a Fight, that's their name. Team Start a Fight decided not to start a fight when TSM, who is on match point,
it's the org's name too. They didn't name themselves
the org's name.
The org's name.
The org's name. Yeah, it's the org's name. Still, I think it's a crazy name to have for what went down. Start a Fight decided not to start a fight with TSM. Reps is down. They're staring down at them. They have height. They're way above. And I put out the take that it was one of the most questionable decisions in the tournament, and there was a lot of people who disagreed with that. And watching it over, I still believe it was one of the most inexplicable decisions because they have a Valkyrie.
You think low key kind of scripted.
They have a Valkyrie. They can,
even if they have the Valkyrie, though,
low key kind of scripted.
Like when TSM won that fight, like zone was closing, so if you dropped, like zone's on your back, so they didn't need to go back up the height, you know.
That's the other thing too, and that's what I don't understand.
Have 6 boxes, and like you just don't lose that 3v2. Like there's like while you shoot at them while they're rezzing.
Also, how is armor swapping? So what happened too? Because I watched it back this morning because I wanted to see how goes to res but is cracked. So then he stops, then goes and swaps, then goes back and reses. So it's just like more time that they could have been dropping and like got him before he armor swapped, you know?
It was insane. And you know that there's nobody behind you. That's the craziest part. Like there's, you know, for a fact, nobody's there. You've just watched the one team make the biggest rotate. Storm's already coming in. It's already basically closed at this point. You're watching them. You know, there's nobody behind you. There's no chance nobody can come behind you. You have that entire area to yourself. You have a Valkyrie if you wanted to take height again, but you don't need to because it's eventually going to move off anyway. And you have reps down. And a lot of people were saying it was like, okay, hindsight's always 2020. Well, let's think about this for a second. It's game 8. You have at that time, how many squads were at match point? 7 or 8, right?
I think
there was a good 7 squads at match point out of 20. You got to start taking into account here that like if you're thinking that'll be somebody else's problem when there's that many teams at match point, I don't think you're playing to win at that point. I just think it was just all the way around. If this was like a game 2 decision, maybe even game 4 decision, I'm cool with that. But it's game 8. You're in finals. You're not at match point yet. You need all the points you can get. Nobody's behind you. You have a Valkyrie. One of the guys is down. Like all of these things line up to just be like, how did they not start that fight? Your team name is Start a Fight. It blows my mind. It was one of the craziest things. I was getting flamed on Twitter, but I stand by it. I just don't understand how you don't start that fight. Everything goes in your favor in this situation. I don't see how you fail. Even if they got the res off and dropped late, I still think they win it. Overall, crazy decision. Crazy decision.
I disagree.
Tell me why.
Why? How do you? Okay, actually, I want to hear.
Tell me why.
I want to hear Fenn's side,
Okay,
and then I'll share my thoughts.
If you look at the game film, if you look at the map, whenever that fight ends, they still have a guy holding top command, and like he's making sure that somebody doesn't come up through zipline to then put them into a pinch while they're holding height. By the way, this team got second place this game. I know they didn't win the game, but you saying that like they made a horrible decision when they got second place.
It means nothing when the team was on match point. You're in finals. This isn't group stages. This isn't groups anymore.
They did get second.
You're trying to win.
They're playing.
They almost won the fight against TSM, bro. What do you mean?
They did not. No, they did not.
They did not almost.
What do you mean?
TSM
they did
rolled
not, dude. It was actually a lot closer than people are saying it is.
Everybody knew that TSM was going to win.
TSM was going to win, but it was actually a little close. Like I think it came down to Hal technically in a 1v1.
Yeah, but that's the difference maker, and that's why I'm saying if you don't drop
it, that's the thing. I'm just saying, like, they got second place, so saying that
they
there
did
was
get second. They did get second, but
it's pretty bad.
It's just you got Finn. You know that Start a Fight.
Okay, would you rather them?
You know that they had to know that there was a decent chance that that was
so hard to make that decision.
100% knew.
Hold on, let me finish.
There was no way that they did not know, given where people land and where people play.
Sure.
They 100% knew that was TSM with one man down. And they didn't push. And their name is Start a Fight. Low key makes it seem a bit scripted.
Okay, sure. Okay, let me finish real quick.
Like, it's just like the mockery of it is like we're gonna have this team named Start a Fight, and then we're gonna have them not take the easiest fight of their life.
Okay,
on the team that then wins. Man. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's scripted.
That's so much easier for you to say.
It's
like,
a little scripty.
You're not in their situation, bro. Like. Okay, yes, they're reading the feed. They know that there's only one down. Okay, first off, even if they dropped, it's a 2v2 instantly. And that person has a knockdown shield to play behind. Like, it's not an automatic free, like, win that you're thinking that it is. Because, once again, there's a guy still holding command center at the top. Like,
there was no need for a guy to be holding command center at that point.
Watch the video, bro.
I'm watching.
I'm just saying. When you realize that there's two teams fighting beneath you, there's no.
That's
there's
not
no
how competitive
need to have
works,
a guy
bro.
back there.
That's just not how it works.
But
and it's
dude.
I understand what you guys are saying, but I'm saying making that call because it's like you're dropping down on info that you don't even know. Like you don't know exactly where they are beneath you, so you dropping down like this is real stuff that is very difficult for you to like determine in milliseconds of like, you can hear a res, even if they could, like, I don't know if they could or couldn't.
They had no nades.
Okay.
Hold on.
Let me
They
finish.
could see them. They could see them.
They could 100%
No,
say
and
they
then
were
all
just
them
aiming
frustrated
down.
down?
Them.
standing on
Yeah,
height,
'cause
looking
yeah, he
down
was
and
aiming
aiming
down.
ADS
Info on that.
You
while
go
they
to
were
the
rezzing.
left because on the main broadcast, at least in the arena, because I don't think the arena and the actual main broadcast are perfectly the same.
Or like the same.
But in the arena, before the fight even took place, they showed them just staring at the dojo. They could have shot for like a good minute.
But they didn't.
He
and
was
they
waiting.
didn't.
He waited
for
forever.
like a really
Yeah,
long time.
for
And
a
like,
long
I
time.
understood why they didn't fight.
The
I
dojo,
understood
right?
why
Yeah,
they
exactly.
didn't shoot dojo because it's
They're
like,
waiting
okay,
for the fight, so they and everyone
yeah,
thought so
let
they
the
get
fight
third.
happen, do their thing.
So, and I
But,
think
dude,
TSM
I'm pretty
rests
sure
in the
they
same
had
spot.
LOS. They had LOS on them while they rest. I'm not positive about that, but they.
Well,
they
if they
had a
have
ton of
LOS
info.
while they're rezzing, they would have stopped the res. I think that's psychotic.
Well, I don't
I'm
think
just
they were
saying, I
looking
mean, we'd
because
have
I
to
think
go
what
back and watch the
happens
film.
is when I'm looking at the map right now. When it happens, Alliance like yeets up in front, or maybe it's E6, and they start poking shots at E6, and also they move a second person down towards command
Can
center.
you share this on the screen real quick?
The map? Yeah, I can try.
Well, yeah, just what I'm saying, just share the screen so we can have this actual discussion.
This is why you should watch the YouTube.
But this is interesting now because now I'm feeling like maybe I shouldn't have said what I said.
Well, I mean, you're not entirely wrong. I just think that because you're not wrong about the guy holding command center, but I do think if you're gonna call for the drop, you just like commit to the bottom, like the low play, you know. Hold
Okay,
on.
I'm
Dude, I know,
watching.
but you're in a straight 2v2, and I think
Dude, but you're in a 2v2 against like people who just used all of their utility. They have nothing. They like how didn't
Okay,
have
all
All
armor.
right,
watching,
hold
I'm
on,
watching,
hold
I'm
on,
watching.
hold on. Let me show this. So this is Sleep. He's watching command center right here, and the fight is happening right down there. Okay, so this is
Yeah.
why he's saying that they couldn't drop because Sleep is over here
It's a
watching
str-
command. This
Right.
this is the map stream. You can see the fight is happening right here. Sleep is right down here, and see Circle is closing while this is happening, and that's why I'm like, all right, Circle's closing. Unless you think there's already somebody in this building, why not just like call for the drop? Because if there's someone here, I get it. Because then you're like, nah, this team's just gonna follow us and third party
right.
us. You know?
Sorry for those that are listening audio wise. Since he's watching command, if you think that there's still somebody top command, then have somebody stay there and then
Right.
don't commit for the bottom two
But
drop.
if they're bottom command, then they're like in zone. They're gonna be in zone. And also, I feel like if you're gonna commit to the low play, like I don't know, you can
Okay.
commit without risk of like the third party. Anyway, we move forward. They're fighting.
Well, I would say looking at this,
I'm watching-
I can understand Fenn's point because there definitely could be a team there.
Yeah,
Like
No,
obviously,
they're fighting.
there could always be a team just chilling.
And he's still
I'm
over here.
watching-
Unfortunately, we can't listen to their comms either because they speak either Spanish or Portuguese. They're from South America. And then eventually, like E6 yeets on over to here while TSM is rezzing. And you can see over here, and then they start shooting them later.
No, so I'm watching. Is it Lusquin?
Luskin, yeah.
Luskin? He's watching them
See?
fight down below. So you can't tell me that they don't know what's going on below them. And no matter what happens, they know one team is going to come out on top, and they have that entire back area to themselves.
Here,
And
I'll pull up the.
I just don't it's just
I'll pull up the main broadcast when it happened. Because I remember
no.
him staring.
He's watching it.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he's watching it right here.
Are you on the live?
Yeah.
What timestamp?
It
What
switches.
timestamp?
So it switches over right at 4 hours, 11 minutes, and 37 seconds. So he's on the rock. So it switches over right there. Go back a little bit.
Wait, that's not the same. Wait.
Yeah. So right here, this is right as they're about. So that's when the res starts right there. And then they switch over to the different angle.
So they're fighting right here. You can see Reps is down. The res just
Reps is down.
that was when Hal did the res armor swaps, and you can see they're right up here. And when he got this angle, you could see him. And earlier
Dude,
he
why
was
is-
standing here, and you could see him just staring at their backs.
He was just looking.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
there. Okay.
And then it switches over, and then it's hard to see what actually like.
I don't know.
happens
Maybe
after
they
that.
got cold feet.
See, look at
bro.
that, look at that.
I don't. I mean,
He can. That's right where Hal.
wow.
This is right where Hal reses Reps right here.
That's what I'm saying.
And see, he can see the dojo down
Just
right
Why
here.
is he not-
crazy.
wait. Why does he not? Why did they not?
That
Okay.
just crazy.
Okay,
He's letting them
okay.
fight. He's letting
Okay.
because they're still fighting right here. This is
Right,
TSM
correct.
dojo
But
fighting.
then at least call. This is my thing though. While
At this
they're
point,
fighting,
you gotta
if you
call
see
the boy home.
if you see
you gotta
trades,
call your team. You
Hold
gotta
on.
call your full team.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you see full trades, you're saying we're thirding this.
That's why
And
I'm
then you're
saying
getting-
too. Is
Yeah,
because he
okay,
was staring at this fight for so long. Like, look at this. They're
Yeah.
full health at this point,
Yeah.
and earlier before this too. When Dojo first showed up, I'm not going to scroll all the way back to try to find it because I don't know when it was. But he's staring at Dojo in the back, And so he knows that they're posturing to fight, right? And if
it's just a couple minutes earlier.
When that happens, I'm telling Sleep, come over here. Like, let's
just say, hey, or at least you can watch here. My thought process on this: you can still watch command from that building that has like the recon on top of it or whatever. Like you can still see when the door opens up and all that sort of stuff. But you can be like, we're probably going to third this.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So instead of watching it from here, watch it farther back towards on the building, on top of the building, so that you're close enough to where you can insta third. So I think that's more of a positioning and communication thing, if that's really what they're wanting to do, or they got cold feet.
Also,
so I'll take that on the chin. They still got second place, though.
They did. Here's also why I think it's a little egregious. And I just want to say this. I love the Starter Fight boys. I got to meet them all in person at LAN. I also love their coach, Dutch, their homies, and they did really freaking good at this LAN. And them not doing this is not the reason TSM won, because obviously a lot of other teams could have killed TSM, like Dojo, like Blackhand. I wanted to add that because I do feel like a lot of people are like blaming solely Starter Fight for why TSM won. It's partially their fault, but the reason I think they should have done it too is, like I said, circle is closing. So unless you think that somebody was in command center, then that's like your only worry. But otherwise, like this whole tunnel, there's nobody in there for sure. And if you kill TSM, you have Watson. You could just sit on this blue bin with Watson.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
And you have Bang ult, so you can just like chuck it at everybody in this open field as they try to cross to you. Like it's just such a power play. And later in the game, because I know everybody's talking about like them dropping on TSM, there is another part later in the game that I think is also bad. They're going to Valk ult here. And what's about to happen is TSM and Blackhand are going to start fighting on the spot that we just pinged. Right there. They just pinged it. You see that red ping?
Mm-hmm.
That is TSM's catwall, and they're fighting Blackhand on the height right here. TSM wins this fight. And Starter Fight is thinking about going to third, and instead they keep going around, and they take the low ground here.
Which is a risky play, because I don't even know if they had info on this.
They didn't. It was completely blind, I'm pretty sure. And so it's like, not only could they have thirded the Dojo fight, but they could have, and they pinged it, they could have just landed on TSM Blackhand and just tried to win high ground there. I don't know.
It is kind of, once again, still a risk. Dude, I know it's so hard for us to be like, oh yeah, they should have done this, they should have done that. But dude, being an IGL and being in that position in a finals lobby, like making, like, yes, I know that that's the correct play, but actually doing that whenever there's so much on the line is so hard. And it's, people will not be able, like, if you've never been in that situation before, you're not going to be able to just like, it is hard to make a commitment like on an IGL. You think it's good to IGL in your gold lobbies and being like, oh yeah, we can do this or we can do that. But
I get what you're saying.
Making a hard decision for like a lot of money, and it's like, you don't want to screw up for your team. That's tough.
I get what you're saying. They only had 18
the difference
points
between
going
the
to
good
that game,
ones
though.
and the bad ones.
I get it.
Like,
and
there's 35% of the lobby is on match point, and you're in the finals, and you know that, and you know you have positioning. Like, and if you win that fight, you take that hill on Watson,
and
you take that hill.
You can see the comp, and both teams are running Bang, Horizon, Cat, the Dojo, Optic, TSM, LG, FaZe, all on 5 teams on match point are all running that comp. So no matter who you think it is, the fact that it's that comp, I know that other teams not on match point are also running that. Like, I'm pretty sure Moist was running that, NRG was running that. So like, I know other teams are, but the fact that both teams are using that comp means it could be any of those 5 match point teams, most likely TSM, just based on rotates. So I don't know. I mean, in the moment, literally when they weren't shooting Dojo in the back at first before the fight, I was sitting there saying it's because they're going to wait for the fight to finish and they're going to drop and then they're going to take high ground. That's what I thought they were going to do. I wish we could understand their comms, and I might talk to their coach Dutch and ask him what the plan was there, because honestly, I think it was just a mistake. Like, I think if they could like redo that moment, they would drop.
And I'm not trying to say, like, I understand that I would never be able, even in a gold lobby, to IGL like this exact situation. I'm just saying it's one of those mistakes that's so egregious, and it led to the only possible outcome, which was going to be a match point team winning. And when you're that deep in the finals, you're game 8, and you know that this many teams are on match point, it just seems like one of those things where they were sitting at that point. They're sitting at 14th.
18 points.
I mean, why not just take the kill points at that point and just be like, all right, well, maybe we kill one of the teams and get one of them out so that we can live to die another day and take that and then maybe go in there. I think if they drop right there, they most likely win that game. And I don't think that would have put them – would that have put them at match point? It would have put them pretty damn close. But at least you would have had one more game to go.
I mean, literally,
you think you think the risk to reward was like it was just off, like they should have done that. Like
if it's game 2, no, I'm fine with whatever. And I'm sure so many other teams made mistakes along the way. I know they did because this is what happens in a final. It's one of those weird positions where it was in such a weird time to make that call or to not make that call, I guess. To me, that I was just I was watching it and I was just like, what just happened? Like I was so confused. And then I tweeted out immediately. I was just like, congrats TSM. And that's exactly what happened because it was just, you could tell that's going back to Hal and TSM. That's what separates them from the rest, man, is like the teams that don't capitalize on those moments, TSM will find a way to capitalize on those moments. And that's why they have the trophy. But yeah, crazy situation. It is kind of awesome just to talk about though, because it's one of those things that people will bring up and it gets the juices flowing. Gets people thinking about what they would do. And all around
that's all I was
great.
saying. I mainly was saying I think
I hear you.
There's that's the biggest thing.
I wish we could hear their comms because I really want to know what they're talking about when the fight breaks out and when they're holding the spot, like staring at Dojo, because I do want to know if they're talking about third partying. And I assume if they talk about it, they say why they're not gonna, and that's the only part I wish we knew. Because if we could hear why, then we might have a totally different understanding. Because I will say they weren't like the most aggro team. Like I understand why maybe they wouldn't want to jump there, and maybe they're thinking of just different potential things that could happen that's just going through their head, like a team third partying it, or I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they thought there was a team in command, because if they do, that changes everything, because then you think that we're going to drop and another team's going to be right behind us and drop behind us, So I really wish we could hear what they were saying.
Yeah, it just felt like to me, it was like you got 5 seconds left to inbound the basketball and run down. What do people most likely do in that situation? They most likely take like a half court shot. It felt like they were trying to get a layup, and it just I in that situation when you know that it's that late, I just feel like you got to take that chance.
I'll say this too.
Just in
general,
they have the comms in there? Like
they have the comms, but they could get translated. I just don't know who to ask to get those translated.
I would love to
someone
hear
will
that
do
too.
it. I imagine someone will do it. When I make my TSM video, I might try and get somebody to do it just to see what happened. But I will say the one thing, because Finn was saying this earlier, or you said that like if this was game 2, then maybe not. Honestly, in any situation ever, when I saw where they were, I was like, you drop. Like first thought was you drop, just because of where that bin is. Because once they did the overhead circle and they showed that little height, that little cliff where that blue bin is, and then where the circle pulls, I was like, whoever gets that wins. Because then like it's just all this open space. You have the only cover and you're on high ground. And the fact that you have Watson too, like I thought it was guaranteed that that's what they were going to go for. So that's the confusing part, is they did not make a play, whether fighting TSM early or thirding the TSM Blackhand fight. Not making a play for that bin was the confusing part.
Here's a question for you, Finn, that I got. Is there a downfall to just taking shots when they're third partying from that high? Is there like something is there like a reason not to do that? Because I kind of feel like you lose nothing, but maybe I'm wrong.
Like, okay, so are you saying after the fight, or are you saying like
no?
Before?
While they're fighting, you just start popping shots their direction. Is there any downfall to that? Like, is there something to?
I mean,
be weary
if they
of?
have like 30-30s, like they could try and steal a kill. Like I think that would be good, but you also want it to play out. Like essentially,
you want somebody to die.
You want, yeah, exactly.
You might scare them off or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they know that there's somebody fixing to third party, they're going to play a lot more passive.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times you want them to clash and at least get like 2 down, like a 2 down situation would be perfect. So all you do is, because essentially what they would be doing is taking their place. Like you want the location. You don't really care about the KP at that point. Like you do, but like it's not that big of a deal. That's why I was saying, like, you could maybe take a pop shot, like, at the very end, as long as you're guaranteed that you're wanting a third party.
Yeah.
Because then you drop, and then you take the spot, and then boom, your setup for end game.
Yeah.
It was just weird because there was like not one single shot that they shot that direction, and they didn't drop. So it was just like one of those weird. It was like there had to have been some sort of play being created. There had to be something that they were coming up with, and we don't know what it is yet. But I hope to see what that is in the future. But either way, it was a crazy play. It was an interesting play. It ended up with TSM being the champion.
That was fun. I'm not gonna lie, that was fun.
No, that's fun to
we
do.
haven't really
That's
been
fun to
able
do.
to talk about
Dude,
something like that.
I felt like Stephen A and Skip back in the old days, just going back and forth, just trading blows.
Go watch on
let's move
YouTube,
on
though,
into-
because if you're listening, half of that probably made no sense.
Yeah, it was very confusing. Also, I think we need to call that area championship row, because that's like 2 LANs now, one on that exact spot, or like very close to it. Like
that's
they're pretty
TSM's
close.
championship, bro.
DZ's
DZ's is down south, you know.
Down south. Let's move on to some of the teams that unfortunately did not make it into Sunday. We talk about the teams that impressed in champs and in finals, but DZ and XSET failed to make it to Sunday.
And Fnatic.
2 teams that I think and Fnatic. 2 teams that a lot of people probably were looking at saying, at least from the NA side, like these are locks. Like these guys they're going to be there. Out of nowhere, they don't. And you can throw Fnatic in there too, because Fnatic in the groups and in the bracket stage at the beginning were doing really, really well, and then all of a sudden the bottom falls out, and unfortunately for them, they don't make it. Is there anything that stood out to you guys why these teams weren't able to get across?
For Dark Zero, because I was there in person, I didn't get to watch like their individual POV, you know, because I wasn't like at home doing the command center or anything as much as I wanted to, but they just seemed off. Like I think it's the winners bracket. So when the winners bracket happened, that like was when people were really struggling, and they missed out by 1 point. They had 42 total points. And when you go to, what was it, game 8, they got 15th with 3 KP. So they got 4 points there. And, you know, if they could survive to like top 10, they get that extra point. But literally, I remember watching that game, and we were watching the leaderboard, and there was a point where like literally like 3 things needed to happen. And it was TSM had to win the game. Moist had to get like a certain number of points into the top like 6 or something with a couple KP, and the Dojo had to do really well as well. And they were literally like the only 3 teams behind DZ that were still alive, and all 3 of those teams had to do exactly that in order to reach into the winners bracket. And then of course Moist gets really aggressive, and they get top 5 with 6 KP, so they get 10 points and they pass DZ. And then Dojo gets really aggressive after Moist. I think Dojo kills Moist. Dojo finishes with 8 KP. They get 3rd, so then they jump DZ, and then TSM wins the game. Literally all 3 things happened. So like before all 3 of those things, if any one of those teams fail to do what they did, then DZ makes it. And I think that just kind of like broke their spirits or something, because I think that they came in with such high expectations that like, because they were the previous LAN champs, you know, and the whole rivalry TSM DZ, it's being built up, all this kind of stuff, that I don't know. I think going into the losers, maybe just like their mental was kind of shot. Like I said, I didn't get to listen to their comms or anything, but hearing some people talk about the way they were talking to each other just seems like it wasn't the most, like the greatest of vibes during losers. Like Zero was kind of going silent the last few games, and things were just a lot more panicked. And then at least this was a very small moment, but it was after game 7 in losers. They were trying to rotate from Mill in the car, and I don't think they had Beacon that game. And so they took a weird rotate where they could have gone up to, it was one of those like Stormcatcher zones where like they always get the car and they take it to the bottom hill of Stormcatcher, or technically the top of the hill, but you know where the cannon shoots off and you can go down the hill. They take that like left side and they just sit there, and they always do so well. Like whoever gets there wins. It's like them and Oxygen get there a lot using the car. But DZ instead, I guess, thought it was pulling further south because they went along the like riverbed towards Cascades, and looked like they're going towards the south side of the cannon. And E6 came out of the Jurassic tunnel and just destroyed them on rotate and killed them. And right when they died, I looked towards their booth, and Zero's reaction, I just felt like he kind of knew, like they were done. Even though going into game 8, they still had a chance in losers. I just think that they kind of accepted it before even that game happened. So yeah, I mean, they almost pulled it off in game 8. They got to 5th. And so there was certainly a chance they could have won that game because they were only 4 points off. They didn't even need to win. Like if they got second with another little bit of KP, they could have made it. But I don't know, man. I think just that bad winners bracket just kind of screwed them, and their mentals were shot.
I think they're micro. No, I mean besides that, but I think their fights were kind of weird. Which is weird. Like to say DZ. Obviously, we saw what they got first place in groups, so no one was really surprised there. But like they actually were in a pretty, people use the word flow state, but like their fighting was really, really strong. They were doing a lot of entry damage, therefore capitalizing off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I noticed is whenever they were getting in fights and you're kind of in that standoff position, they were the ones they were the ones on the back foot most of the time during their fights. And I mean, we're at a professional level. Even if you are the best players in the world, like these other people can shoot their gun, like, and they did. And so I think they were on the back foot on a lot of their fights, either positioning wise or like just straight up losing their 3v3s, which is weird to say for DZ because of the firepower. But I think that was because they were trying to do too much. And a lot of times, if you're trying to do too much, you can get caught out, and because you get caught out, you lose the fight. So I felt like that was happening, but I will say this: it was weird to see DZ not in a finals. Like we are so used to seeing them in a finals. Like I was thinking, like, has TSM never not made a finals?
No, their worst performance ever was 7th.
Right, and it makes me think like, okay, like that's the reason why Hal not just winning this tournament, but like Hal finds a way to make sure his team is always has a chance to win the whole tournament. Like it doesn't matter what he has to do, but he's able to do it. I don't know.
Did y'all see his tweet after DZ got eliminated?
I didn't see it.
He tweeted and he said, "Real goats don't miss finals." And then the next day after they won, he followed it up and he said, "Real goats win the finals."
Dude, this guy's such a savage, bro.
You know that
he can't say anything.
You know that he had those saved too. He was ready in the drafts with those bad boys.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Getting to Xset a little bit, I feel like remember Split 2, they were in Losers 2, and they were able to kind of muster themselves up and get into that next stage for Sunday. This time, I feel like maybe they thought they were going to be able to have that same energy. Like, okay, we didn't make it the first time, but we're just going to do what we did last time. But it just didn't. It just never came. And honestly, they didn't place well in either bracket. Like they in Winners 1, they were 19th. In Losers 2, they were 18th. They just didn't show up. And I don't know exactly what it was, but it's just, I don't know. Just didn't show up.
For winners, I cut Xset a little bit slack, which obviously, this only affects you so much. But in winners on World's Edge, all 4 zones were south. Like I know that and like Xset lands Skyhook West. I know FaZe lands Climatizer. The only reason I say it's not a full excuse is because Realize qualified through winners and they land at Survey Epi. But it is just a piece of it, right? And so they didn't get the greatest zones in winners. But I don't know, man. I think it was just kind of a similar thing. They just mentally, I don't know how locked in they were in terms of like cohesiveness and being on the same page and everything. Because I couldn't see their booth because they were up on the top floor. But I think it was just a rough performance from them. I will say I talked to Nocturnal because my one worry after that performance was that he would retire, and he said he's not retiring. So bless up.
Confirmed on the pod.
Confirmed. Love that guy.
Late breaking. Okay, so let's move on then. Did you guys want to talk about Fnatic a little bit? The one thing that was crazy about Fnatic was that they dominated Losers 1, and then it just didn't happen.
I have no clue. They really didn't show much of Fnatic during losers 2. So I honestly have no clue why they didn't.
They did
qualify.
win a Wyatt Award though.
What was
They,
that?
I'll explain that after the ad. They did
Okay.
win a Wyatt Award. I'll give them the Wyatt Award later on in the show.
Dude, I mean, you got it. Okay, there's loser bracket round 2. This just screams macro issues because their placements go 8, 7, 15, 16, 18, 18, 18, 7. I mean, that's a lot of macro issues, I would argue. Or losing fights on pivotal.
Yeah, those 18s mean they're fighting early and they're not winning them.
Yeah, they might be fighting for a good position, but then they're losing those fights.
Right.
So in my opinion, I think that's more macro than it is micro, but that's unfortunate. But that's I mean, you can stats aren't everything. Stats aren't everything, but if you look at their results, that just from a analytical view, it just screams macro issues. But I also didn't watch that much of Fnatic, but I did get, whenever they did show him on main, I just saw a lot of UKF just being really good at shooting his gun. I mean, I don't, and like he was playing a lot of crypto, I think, right? He used to.
They swapped.
They dropped crypto.
Yeah, he did last LAN, which they did good with the crypto, but he dropped him. Let the record show, in losers 2, I also picked Fnatic. When they did the talent predictions, I picked Fnatic to win the bracket, and then they did terrible. So maybe I cursed them. I don't know.
Just a bit outside.
Yeah,
just a bit outside.
I rubbed hands with JHawk and like transferred all my energy, like hate to him. Now he's got the juju now.
Yeah, it was right after I picked Oxygen, and I picked Oxygen and then KCP, and then after that, all my picks were just garbage. I picked Xset in winners, and they didn't make it. And then I picked Fnatic and losers too. So yeah, rough.
That's rough stuff. That is rough.
Very impressed by KCP, by the way. I'm going to say that real quick. Very impressed by KCP from not like starting in losers and just being consistent and making it all the way to finals and doing pretty good in finals. So I got to give him that. I want to give him their flowers, because shout out to Nasky, because he was like, I'm going to win. And I remember him, just because y'all said like I was a hater on him, first off.
You're a hater on a lot of people these days.
I'm a believer in Nasky. All right,
big
he proved me wrong.
hater, Nasky hater, NRG hater. You're
NRG's
kind of a
probably
hater.
The first one.
It's crazy.
I can't believe it. And let the record show, we didn't say you were an Nasky hater. You led us to believe that from the statements that you made on this very podcast. You can go look it up. I don't remember which episode, so you'll just have to listen to all of them. But Finn did say it at some point. I don't remember when. I forgot.
I was right on the Xset
50
pick.
something episodes. Yeah. Okay, let's get to some of the other teams that were on match point that played really, really well in finals, because there was a good amount of them. I think the first one that comes to mind is our second place team, Optic Gaming, and you got to feel for them, man. You just have to. Second place, right after they're at match point, 3 kills, followed up by a third place. A game after that, or a game removed from that, another third place. They were so close so many times. They just couldn't get the finish. But Optic, for all intents and purposes, Optic looked really, really good. They just looked really good. They just couldn't get that final. They were always in a late game too. They just couldn't get that final win. How do we feel about Optic, boys?
How did you guys feel about them? I mean, y'all picked them in your predictions, didn't y'all?
I nailed it too. I said second. Nailed it.
You want to know what's crazy? For the record, I just want to say, because y'all posted these predictions on Twitter. For the record, I did not put my 2 through 5 in any order, and if I did, then I might have ordered it a little differently than what I said, because apparently I said NRG whatever. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I almost said Optic. It was between NRG and Optic, and for some reason, for the build up to the pod, I was saying I was going to go Optic. And then I think all of you guys pick Optic, and I was like, I'm going to go with like a spicy take. And so I didn't put Optic, and I put NRG. And now I'm an idiot because of it.
NRG just makes people look like idiots on this pod, whether they choose them not to make them to Sunday or choose them to do really, really well in a final. it just you can't pick NRG.
Yeah.
Like it's just they're one of those teams.
We'll talk about them
I'll
later.
open this up then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a little bit. I'll open it up then to the rest of the teams, the 2 through 7, who are all on match point. Anyone that you want to talk about. I think somebody's going to want to talk about Blackhand, but we got Optic, who is second, Blackhand third, Dojo fourth. Enoch, you got that. 5 was FaZe, my team that I picked to win, and then did I not? Oh yeah, and then Dreamfire. I skipped numbers. I don't know how to count. But any of those teams that you guys want to get to?
I'll say this about Optic because I don't want to skip over them, but they were freaking dominant in finals, man. Like I don't know if I've ever had a team in a finals lobby actually stress me out that much in terms of like winning. Because obviously I'm just here for as many games as possible. Like I know that some people say they don't want super long match point lobbies. I want to go to like game 18. Like I want the whole freaking lobby to be there. And just every time it's like, there's only 3 teams not on match point. There's no way they win this game, right? And then they do, and we get another match point team. I want it to go as long as possible until literally somebody has to win, you know? And Optic, literally, I mean, the fact that they came so close multiple times was absolutely insane. That North Pad zone where they lost to NRG was heart pounding. Like literally, so for that game, for anyone who doesn't watch, I'd recommend go to rewatch it. Early on, there's a contest at Mill. It's KCP versus Dreamfire contesting at Mill. Because they're contesting, Optic goes and decides to third party it. But while that's happening, NRG goes and steals the car from Mill, which is like very crucial because then NRG using that car beats Optic to the spot at North Pad that was eventually the game-winning spot that NRG had. And it didn't really matter in the end because Optic got into a 3v3, both teams healthy against NRG in the end game. But the fact that NRG was able to secure that spot meant that they basically went the entire circle unscathed and allowed them to get into that situation to fight Optic, and they clutched it out. And so unfortunate for Optic. And then they almost came close in that countdown zone with LG and I think it was Dreamfire or Blackhand. I don't know, one of those, the Apex out teams. I'm pretty sure it was Blackhand. But they were just in the worst spot in that zone, which is kind of unfortunate for them. But they came so close, literally back-to-back games. They just couldn't do it. So shout out Optic because they were freaking dominant in the finals. I'll say that. And I think it would have been cool if they won. I know they're probably pretty disappointed that they didn't because of how many chances they had. But really, really impressive run from the boys.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, there's not a whole lot that they did wrong.
Yeah.
Which is hard to say. Like you got second place, and you played almost perfect Apex Legends. Like that kind of sucks. But like, dude, I was so mad whenever I saw. Dude, I was like, how did they let the only team that's on match point format make it to finals on that North Pad zone? And like, I was pissed off at all other 19 teams. I was like, guys, how are we not focusing Optic right now? We're in the 4th game right now. Like, there's only one team you have to worry about, and you guys didn't do it. So I was pretty upset. And then like you said, Jay, at the very beginning, whenever NRG won and the crowd went crazy, bro, I could feel the energy of everything.
The
bro.
Crowd was so loud. Literally everyone became an NRG fan for that fight because the moment it got down to the 3v3, like I was in the front row and I stood up and like you could just hear people start chanting NRG. And then when they won, everybody just went crazy. And it's like, you know, that like there's TSM fans out there that are chanting NRG right now, you know? And it was a wild moment for sure. And I felt a little bad being like, because the Optic boys are right in front of me and I could see that like the moment they lost, they were all disappointed. And I guarantee they heard the crowd going crazy and it's just got to like annoy you a little bit, you know?
And it's weird because match point makes you root for things that you wouldn't want to root for. Like if I looked back at this now, I'd be like, dude, I wanted Optic to win.
Yeah.
Like I know I picked FaZe, but in that moment I'd be like, dude, it'd be so sick if Optic won.
Optic to win.
But when I was watching it, I was like, I want this to keep going.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want it to stop now.
Yeah.
I want to keep going.
Yeah.
So it's weird because it makes you root for shit that you don't want.
If that happened 4 games later, people would, and NRG was also a match point, people would love to see Optic win that, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But because of the timing of when it happened, people are like, no, we got to keep going.
Any of the other teams that I said that were on match point that you guys want to get to? Blackhand, Dojo, FaZe, Dreamfire. I forgot Luminosity when I
Shout out
listed off
LG.
this thing early. LG was going crazy. Fights. Like we talked about LG being one of the best fighting teams a few weeks ago. They're insane.
Yeah.
Like their fights are just when they get a 3v3. I will say this though. I think it was me and Enoch or me and Finn had a debate on who was better as just a straight up 3v3. Oxygen 3v3 versus LG. Oxygen won that fight. And that was interesting. I was like, damn, they really pulled that off.
I'd take Oxygen over LG too.
But they're both just incredible fighting teams, and LG really flexed their muscles on this one. Any other teams you guys want to talk about?
I feel like Enox, you got to flex the Dojo pick, bro.
You got to talk Dojo,
you gotta
bro.
flex the Dojo
Well,
pick.
I mean, a lot of people were probably hating. Dude, people were hating on my Dojo pick. And, like, they didn't place second, but they placed fourth, and they definitely, as we talked a little bit about earlier, could have placed first. And, yeah, I mean, I just genuinely think that team is going to be a dominant force in year 4. They, from a team chemistry, like, I mean, there's, like, no part of a team that they're really lacking on. They, as, like, Design said, like, they all see the game the same way. They're all committed to playing together. The vibes between the boys are some of the best out there when it comes to like team camaraderie. And like there are some people who would like look at the outcome of the tournament and be like, oh, like enemy through, like you guys could have definitely won that if you guys had like a different third. And it's just like I know that that's just not even a question in those boys' mind of like dropping enemy like by any stretch of the imagination. He's an incredibly talented player. Did he make a decent amount of mistakes this weekend? 100%. But the more that they play together, like this is their first tournament as a team, and the more that they play together, the more that their play styles rub off on each other. It's just going to be a very, very, very scary team moving forward, and it's going to be fun to watch. But also, somebody's got to talk about Blackhand because those boys, Triple M and K, we need an absolute breakdown because these dudes are nuts. Like dropping 20 kills in a lobby, landing landslide, like how?
All right. Well, first off on Dojo too, I talked to Enemy after the tournament, and he said that they were gonna before the tournament started. He said that they were gonna get 6th, or not the tournament started before Sunday started. He predicted them getting 6th. And they did better than that. So they exceeded even his own expectations. It was pretty crazy. Design was all hyped up about how you got to have confidence. Like, we're going to win this shit, you know? But anyway, bro, Blackhand went crazy. Not only in finals, Blackhand was like, I would say they were the most impressive team of the whole tournament. I don't know how you guys feel, but in groups, they got 2nd place, only behind Dark Zero. In winners, they got, what did they get? They got 1st place in winners by a 10-point margin. They had 50 kills in winners. The 2nd highest kill team in the winners bracket was 27. So they damn near doubled the 2nd highest kill total in the winners bracket. And they didn't even win a game in the winners bracket too. The best placement was 2nd, and yet they still dominated that lobby. And then we get to the finals, and they were going to be contested by MDY White, but MDY White eventually leaves and lets them have it. Which shout out MDY White for the APAC South homie love, because contesting in finals sucks. And they ended up getting 3rd. So shout out to those guys, as Enoch was saying, Triple M and K. And not only that, I feel like Blackhand proved so much of the like rules of competitive Apex wrong. The Triple M and K, they land at Landslide and Stormcatcher. And those POIs suck. Like, these are bad POIs. They don't have any controller players, and they were running an off-meta comp of Catalyst, Watson, and Bangalore? I'm pretty sure it's Catalyst, Watson. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Catalyst, Watson, Bang. So they're running two controllers.
Yeah. Yeah. like you better be pretty elite at fighting. If you have confidence that you can run 2 controllers and have only util is your Bangalore and your Catwall, like you better be pretty confident in your decision making on fighting, and they obviously prove that.
Yeah, and not only do you have to be confident in your fighting, like they clearly were. Like the fact that, like I said, they had 50 kills in the winners bracket in the finals. The Dojo led the finals with the most kills at 40, And then right behind them is Pioneers with 36, TSM with 34, Optic Blackhand with 33. Like, they were right up there with some of the best fighting teams in the entire world as a triple MNK team running Catalyst Watson. Like, that is insane. Whenever I made my APAC South preview for Split 2, they're one of my like favorite teams to talk about, partially because they're from Indonesia and I love Indonesia, but also just the story of Strafing Flame. He was on Ironblood Gaming. They make it to the Split 1 playoffs. They got like 35th or something like that, and they drop him. And he was like their best player. They drop him despite the fact that they literally placed first in APAC South that split. They drop him. He goes on. He picks up Easy Flash, who's like in APAC South, he's like the Skittle Cakes of the region, minus IGLing ability. But like in terms of just like M&K talent, like the guy is insane. And then they had Bugie at the time. They said he didn't really fit with the team, and he was their control. He was the roller. They drop him. They pick up another M&K player in Player K, who's a support guy. He's their Watson, and they just dominate. Like, it was crazy impressive. I haven't talked to them yet, but I saw someone on Twitter say that they have mentioned that their strat to fight controller players was bank smoke and then just wide swing them like crazy, like full commit to a wide swing, because on that slow 4-3 sensitivity, you can't turn that fast. And so if they could wide swing out of their range with the bank smoke cutting off the aim assist, like, you're kind of screwed because you don't have aim assist locking onto you and you can't turn very quickly. If that's like actually their strat, then it just worked, and there you go. Like, they popped off. So shout out Blackhand.
He said
man.
that Strafing Flame said he wants to come on the podcast, so I
Dude,
think we got to get him.
You got to get Strafing Flame
Yeah,
on.
we'll get him
he's
on.
a homie.
We'll get him on.
He is a homie. Strafing Flame is sick. He's an awesome dude. He's also like, he's such a freaking good IGL. Like, his resume, although he's from APAC South, like, and so people don't know his resume. Like I said, they placed first in Split 1 in APAC South as an unsigned team. They go to LAN. They don't have the greatest performance. Then in Split 2, he picks up Easy Flash and Bugie. They placed third in APAC South, like right behind Moist and Onyx, who were like the dominant forces. And then there was a huge gap. And they go to the Split 2 playoffs, and they made it to the finals. And then they make the change, and now they place third. Like, his resume is freaking stacked at this point. Also, he had one of the coolest clapbacks on Twitter I've ever seen. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he and Waltzy got into an argument like 6 months ago or something, and Waltzy earnings checked him. And now, because of their third place performance, he has more earnings than Waltzy. And he quote tweeted that response from like 6 months ago. And he said, "We forgive, but we don't forget." And that was such a great clapback. But yeah, shout out Blackhand. Those guys, they're freaking sick.
Let's get to some of the teams in finals who were able to make it. Making it to finals is no easy feat, but there are some teams that underperform and that a lot of people are looking at to perform well in finals, but just don't really make it to that next level. Some of us predicted Moist. Some of us obviously predicted NRG. I think, Alliance was another one of those teams in there. Any teams that stood out to you guys that you wish you would have seen a little bit better performance from, and maybe the reason why they weren't quite there? I think Moist has to come to mind. Moist has to be one of those.
Why, you go first. If you're on Moist, I think you should go first.
I think it's just the cohesion between the new teammate, and I think the next LAN, I think they're going to be a lot better. Because it just felt like their fights didn't go how they normally go. I can't really pinpoint anything. I'd have to go through and watch every single one to kind of figure out why. It just felt like they weren't getting that knock that they normally get. And it kind of sucks because it's not like their teammate was dropped or whatever. It was just he retired, correct?
Well, at the time he said he retired, but then he posted recently and said he was dropped. So,
oh, okay, all right. Well, never mind. Just completely forget that point. But yeah. So I think there needs to be some more team cohesion. It's just a rough time to have a new teammate come in. I guess it's just one of those where it's like, damn, you guys were a really solid fighting team, and it just didn't happen that way this time. But
shout Aurora. That's
dude, we'll get into that Aurora situation right after this because we got to talk about that. It's actually hilarious because a team that only had 2 guys still did better than one of the teams I predicted, which is just insane. We'll get to that later. But yeah, so I think Moist was one that I wanted to see do a little bit better. But hey, they consistently make it to Sunday. And I think if you're a team who can consistently do that, you're up there. You're in the right spot. You just got to clean up a few things here and there. And to be honest, nobody's really looking at you saying like you guys suck, because only 2 teams have won this thing. So, is what it is. Any teams that stood out for you guys?
All right. I predicted NRG, so I got to talk about them. I felt somewhat confident about NRG even in the finals, because like losers. So I mentioned the Watson pick from Blackhand. I think, and I posted a little bit on Twitter about it. I think Watson was like a really cool niche pick to see at Champs, because Bang and Horizon were the most pick 2 legends by far. Like they were both like 75+% of the time pick rate. And just think about what they do. Bang ult, Bang smokes towards your team to try and cut off your own line of sight. Horizon ult, like all these things are being thrown at you, and Watson just like ruins all of that. And so I thought Watson was like a really cool pick that some of these teams were employing. And in winners, NRG did bad, and they were not running Watson. And then in losers, they dominated. Like they got first place in losers round 2, and they swapped to the Watson on World's Edge. And I thought they kind of figured something out, right? And then coming into the final Sunday, they didn't start off super hot, but it was that game against Optic, game 4, where they clutched up and they won the game. And at that point, they were sitting in 5th place. Like they were top 5. They had 32 points, maybe even 4th place. I know that Optic, Dreamfire, and FaZe were above them at that point, but I think they were the next team. So they were 4th place with 32 points. After that win, they got 0 points, 0 points, 1 point, and 0 points. They got 1 point across 4 games following a win, which is like pretty disappointing from NRG. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if y'all kept up with the Reddit within the last 24 hours, but Nathan did a stream, I guess, right when he got home, and he was very transparent about everything that's going on behind the scenes with NRG. He said that the relationship between Guild and Sweet seems to be pretty much chalked, and that Sweet is apparently very hard on Guild, and not as hard on Nathan. And that that Guild doesn't really respond super well to that criticism, and that he thinks that it makes him play worse. And so he thinks that there's potentially going to be a roster change, either Sweet or Guild leaving. Nathan said he doesn't want to retire. And that he thinks that the spots they were in were good. So it wasn't like macro wise they were being put in terrible positions, because he said that if they reversed roles with TSM, he thinks TSM could have still won the tournament playing from the spots that they played in. They just didn't play it correctly. So that's what happened to NRG. Those are Nathan's words.
Wow,
not
by
mine.
the way.
Yeah.
Wow, that info that you just said was insane, because the last thing that I wanted to talk about.
This is all from
Not
Nathan's
Nab.
mouth too. Like I didn't come up with any of this. This is straight from him. He was that was just like me condensing it, because he talked about the whole thing in depth behind the scenes, the addition of Shiny as their coach and the impact he had. And then there was a point where Shiny had to step away for a vacation, and like things kind of got like chalked from that point on. There was a lot. I would highly recommend people go. Someone posted like a condensed video version that's like 15 minutes. Highly recommend someone go watch that just to hear Nathan talk about it, because he is very well spoken on all of it.
I wanted to hit roster Mania like at the very, very end. That'll be the last thing that we do.
Yeah, but just wanted to throw that out there, because I was very disappointed in NRG's final games. It literally felt like they were right there. Like they were at 32 points after game 4. It seems like they were on pace to just go and hit match point as long as Optic didn't close it out. Even like the next game was that countdown zone where Optic almost won again. And that's a spot that that's a zone that NRG has priority to, and they weren't able to even get deep in that one. So I don't know. I was pretty disappointed in NRG's finals performance, but it seems like, yeah, the bumping of heads was unfortunately a pretty big factor.
Which is weird, because it felt like everybody talks about Sweet's like micro,
Yeah,
and like how he's very particular and stuff. But I had noticed. I remember watching a tournament online. I think it was probably an oversight tournament, but like he did seem to kind of be more intense with Guild. I did notice that.
And
like,
so
he really was.
Even on that
like
with
that.
the micro thing, Nathan said on there, he said that it really stems back from Guild's wall usage and placement, and he just wasn't having good walls, and Sweet would get really upset at that, and it led to like a lot of the blow ups. And then because of that, they think that Guild wasn't initiating as much because he was afraid to make a mistake, and he was just waiting for Sweet to tell him what to do all the time. So it was just kind of like a negative feedback loop of like Sweet doesn't want to have to micro you on the walls, but then when you place bad walls, he gets upset at you. So then you stop placing walls altogether. So then he has to micro you, but he doesn't want to and it just, so
That's rough.
yeah.
That sounds like a team change incoming, by the way.
Yeah, which
sure.
who knows? Because we talked about this previously. I don't know who you could get that would be like better. I think you're not looking for like a skill thing. I guess you're looking for vibes at that point.
I'm not even looking
hold
at
on.
NRG.
I have an idea.
I'm
I have a
looking
few
at
ideas.
Guild and where
I could
he
see
goes.
it being naughty.
I have a few ideas.
I know a lot of people are saying
Naughty?
Koiful right now, but
That's what I was.
I could see it being Koiful.
that's what
I
I
could
was
also
thinking,
see it
Koi.
being naughty.
Naughty.
I don't know what the offer would be because it'd have to be a buyout and like obviously like pay and all that stuff. But
Well, you also have to consider
Bro.
Sentinels might not be a org.
that's true.
And then not so
That's
just in the
true.
future because I'm pretty sure like their funding is about to run out.
Yeah,
Give me.
I don't know all that
naughty on
stuff. So if that
NRG.
happens, then who knows what happens. But I've heard people say that I don't know who said this. I saw this somewhere that Koi apparently like really enjoys playing on Sentinels. I don't know if that's true. So that could be a factor. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, shoot, I sure hope so.
I'll say this. I don't think it's gonna be naughty. I don't think Sweet would want naughty because I think, damn it, I don't know.
You run into the same issues. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I feel like you run into
exactly.
the same
Like I
issues.
feel like naughty would.
Sorry.
That's naughty's thing
Naughty,
too.
though.
Is I think naughty
They're the same.
when he makes a mistake, like that was what happened with Lou. Is like Lou would point out those mistakes like all the
100%.
time, and then naughty would lose confidence, so he wouldn't want to make the mistake, so he just wouldn't do it. And I feel like
Yep.
that's so. I don't think it'd be naughty.
But I'm
And
thinking
early
about
on
of
Zach,
a perspective
early on.
of naughty and Sweet having like they're like boys.
That's true.
And
They
so
play
I think
ranked
from
all the
like
time.
that. I think from that, like from a pure chemistry aspect of it, they would be able to, like Naughty would be able to handle and manage and be able to like. I mean, because like they're boys, and so I think that could have like make an impact in terms of like it coming down to like vibes and just Naughty being in a position to like do his thing and be put in good spots. I think it could be a thing that could happen. I'm not saying that I think the Koiful, like obviously like he showed out and is looking like he's like one of the best.
If he's available, he's like the number
Options
one
right
option.
now?
Yeah, everybody wants Koiful.
Yeah,
Shoot, I want
But-
Koiful, bro.
Kid's crazy.
I'm just saying from like a sheer vibes perspective, I think Naughty would have that going for him.
People were saying
Also-
Crust, but it's like that's.
I don't think they
3
go.
M&K.
Yeah, I don't think they go M&K. I think they want to roll it.
There's no chance. Sweet after going from triple M&K to feeling how nice it is to have a controller player.
Yeah,
What about Lux?
Ooh,
I've heard
think-
some.
it could be.
I don't know. I know Enoch quote tweeted the tech tweet about he's trying not to get his teammates poached, so he's like trashing them on the timeline in hopes that like someone doesn't poach him.
I don't know. Lux feels like a good fit because of the communications alone and how he wouldn't. It almost. I feel like he would work in tangent with Sweet whenever it comes to their micro in their fights. Like, and we all know. I mean, if you guys don't know, Lux has probably the best comms in fighting. Definitely a controller player, best comms. I don't know about M&K, but he's really, really strong in that. So I don't know.
And a free agent.
Yeah. So
And so I'm not gonna lie, it could happen to Tech again,
RIP.
especially with the roster Mania. Luck is, I mean, Andy's number one right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so
Um,
there's definitely a high chance that if you are in the market for a controller player, Lux has got to be at the top of everybody's list.
I think with which the roster Mania stuff is just so far away, but I do think that it also depends on what happens with other teams. Like, does Dark Zero make a move? Does XSET make a move? Like, because all of a sudden, if somebody like Sykes is available, then that kind of changes the equation, right? So, I don't know.
I was thinking about Dark Zero with Zainu
Yeah.
because he's relatively new. They didn't play super well, and they pretty much get the pick of the litter. Whoever they want, they could go get. Do you think that would be a move that they might make?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if Zero necessarily has problems with Zainu because I know that Zainu kind of checked the boxes of what they want, and like you said, they get the pick of the litter. But Koiful doesn't do what they wanted. Like whenever I whenever I've got to talk to them, like when I interviewed them a little bit for the video they showed on the broadcast, I asked them a question which I don't think fully got included about the whole like Rambo situation, and they said that like Rambo just didn't talk enough. Like that's really what they wanted, is somebody who talks like a lot. And Zainu does. He's very vocal, and Koifel's not super vocal, which I guess can be fixed. Like I don't know if that's just because of the team he plays on currently, but Koifel's just like, he just goes out there and kills people, you know? Like he doesn't really yell a whole lot while he's doing it, which is not a bad thing. Just that's specifically what DZ mentioned multiple times, is they wanted somebody who talks a lot. So
For my pick, going back to the question, Wyatt, I'm going to go with Alliance. Now, it's sad because it's like this team, Jay is putting up an Alliance emblem right now, or decal.
They got absolutely worked on by Dojo.
Dude, they
worked on.
They lost their No, they went 2-1 in the contest, or did they go 3-0?
Well, hold on the whole LAN or in finals.
I was gonna say final specific.
Finals,
I think
it was 3-0 Dojo, and then they left.
Oh, was it? Okay, 2-1 in the groups, though, right?
It was 2-1 in groups. Then Dojo came back in winners and 2-0'd them, and so it was 4-1 at that point. And then Alliance contested him 3 more times in finals, and it was 7-1.
So it was 7-1.
Yeah.
Oof. So that's basically like, it's not a surprise that they got 19th place. You're contesting for a spot against Design, who's literally landed there since 2019. So, yeah, I feel like that's like his official spot. I feel like that's the Dojo spot. Like, I mean,
I'm sorry. He keeps saying he has the deeds to the land on Twitter, and I think he's not joking around when he says that. Like,
he said that on this podcast.
Yeah, he says that everywhere.
He owns it.
It's kind of upsetting, kind of sad to see, considering this is now twice where Alliance has, granted, last split 2 playoffs, they were very strong. You could tell that this team was confident in their fighting. Hackett would be like, go and do whatever you want. Like, and it kind of showed in their gameplay. This time around, I think obviously with complications to effects Visa really affected their performance, at least starting off. And like, I think the momentum was not fully there the whole entire tournament. Obviously, Mandy stepped in and they had some success. So I think you kind of did the best with what you had, like the cards that you were dealt. But yeah, if you're basically getting if you're getting 0 points on World's Edge, you're not going to be able to win a tournament or do well in finals. So they are definitely going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what they're wanting to do, specifically in a land format when other teams are wanting to land at their POIs. Because if I'm honest, if I see that Dojo absolutely body slam them, I'm going to be confident in going wherever they go. Because you can be like, okay, well, this team continues to keep slamming their face and then losing. Granted, we know Dojo is a very strong team off drop. I don't think that there's really any complaints in that, but I'm saying at a land scenario, people might be more confident mentally going against Alliance because of what they just showed at this land performance. But
I don't know about all that. I mean,
I don't know.
Not every team is as good a fighting team as Dojo.
Right, exactly. But I'm saying the mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think people are going to be like, well, at least like we've seen them kind of collapse.
Seeing them as like being injured in a sense.
You're exactly 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it happened with Dark Zero when they lost Siphon, you know, because then all of a sudden they couldn't find a POI. Like before they got Harvester, they were floating around at like Lava Fissure and Monument. Well, at the time, Fragment. They landed at Dome for a little bit. Like they could not find a POI for so long until they got Harvester. And I think it's just because people didn't view them as a threat, you know. Because TSM killed them like pretty easily, you know. So,
but they're like the big dogs in EMA, so like or EMEA region.
They'll be
so, like,
fine.
No one's gonna. Yeah, that's not really the issue. I think their biggest issue is like what they really need to be working on or thinking about is like what does it look like for us on land whenever a team's contesting us?
Yeah,
because that's really what that's what's holding them back. I think obviously in this finals. Unfortunately, also the visa situation didn't help either. So those are two things that are like, okay, how do we go about this? One of those is not really necessarily in their control. So let's work on the thing that you can control.
Also, apparently, Hawkes also did a stream today. A lot of players are streaming today and being very upfront about a lot of things. He said that if Effect's controller was broken and he had to borrow 3 or 4 different controllers from other pro players, and he and Yuki were scolding Effect for not bringing any backups. Because apparently, I don't know, with these pro controller players, apparently it's just like a very big mental thing to not have your own controller. Like people just feel differently. Like I know y'all talk, yeah, exactly. I know y'all talk to Guild about it, and this guy drops a controller 2 inches off the ground, and he's getting a new one. So he said that happened, and then also he said, and this is a direct quote that I'm reading off of Reddit. Our tactic was really, this is about the contest. Our tactic was really simple. Just kill enemy. Every single game, enemy lands isolated, and all we have to do is kill enemy. He was the freest kill every game, and we just didn't stick to the game plan. So apparently on their contest strat, they just didn't really follow through with what their plan was, and it cost them. So yeah.
I'd like to go into to FaZe a little bit if I could. I know we were talking about teams who didn't perform super well, and I would honestly like to say that they did make match point. They were my prediction to win. I think they were also JHawks on this show.
Yeah.
But they were my prediction to win. I was kind of combing through the stats to figure out what exactly went wrong. They were the highest ranked team to not get a win in the entire tournament. They just couldn't get a win the entire tournament. They also were second place in the most second places.
Yeah.
The only team that was higher than them in second places, I think, was TSM. They were consistently getting to that final spot, but there was just something holding them back from being able to win that match. And it was frustrating. It's frustrating to watch because I felt like that team, I still think that that team is in the upper echelon. I famously said on the show that I was considering them one of the A-tier teams. And I kind of got flamed for it. And I think that was right because, you know, I don't know, they're close, but you got to be able to win. And even in group stages, bracket stages, to not get a win, that's tough. They did get a lot of second places. It means that they're getting to the right spot. They're just not getting those kills when it matters the most. And so I'd like to see FaZe, see what they do moving forward. I think Snipedown said something along the lines of like, they're kind of happy because it's like, yeah, we made finals and we also got match point. And, you know, we were top 10. In fact, we were almost top 5. But there's something missing. There's just one thing missing. So FaZe, I really liked what I was watching out of them, but there were so many times where I was like, damn, how'd they not win that? And so that's kind of where I'm at with FaZe right now. I still like them a lot going into this next season. We'll see what happens with roster mania because roster mania can change a lot of things.
I don't think
and
FaZe
we'll see
makes
where
a
it goes
change
from there. I don't think they do either, but you just never know.
I mean,
so,
they could, but I have a very strong feeling they will not make a change. I went on the Apex After Hours thing that Fallout and Snipe do, like the right after the championship, and so Snipe was there, and we were talking a little bit about FaZe, and he said that they don't have like, because they kind of struggle every time to get to the finals. Once they get there, they're fine, but he said they just don't have like the switch on knowing when with specific zones they need to just start looking for KP as opposed to trying to win. So like every circle, they're always trying to force into a winning spot, but certain circles, they just don't have any priority whatsoever. So it's like they're forcing it so hard, and that's why they just die early because they're making a rotate that they shouldn't be making to try and win the game as opposed to let's just go frag out because we're not going to get that spot no matter what. And so he said that they just got to learn that. And also just in general, whenever I watch them, I think their fights, they just feel they don't have like super great fighting cohesion as of right now. It feels like there's a lot of times where somebody can like do a lot of entry damage and they're not quite ready to capitalize on it. Like when you watch like Oxygen or LG, somebody does that entry damage, and if they get knocked, the other guy gets like re-knocked, like refragged immediately. Like they're on top of it. Like no damage goes to waste. To where with FaZe, I feel like it does a lot of the time. But I think they'll clean it up. I think they just need more time together, more time with like a coach to kind of iron out those issues. Because I know they just recently got Dan before the Split 2 playoffs. So I think they'll be all right, though. But yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to throw out FaZe real quick. Any other team you guys want to talk about before we go into the Aurora situation? Because this one's funny. It's kind of funny. It's kind of sad. I don't know. I thought it was funny. People were pretty upset about it online. I just thought it was I just love crazy situations like this. It's just fun. Like it's just a weird situation.
I just want E to hit it real quick if he wants to, but I was gonna say the oxygen pick and them getting 16th. Just wanted to see what maybe if he had any thoughts. If he doesn't, that's okay.
Sounds like you're calling him out.
I am.
No, it happens. They did not have the tourney that they expected. I think that they couldn't find their groove. They never had anything going for them, and they had the day that they had.
That's fair.
They're still a phenomenal team in my
Still
opinion.
a
I
top
think that
B,
they're gonna have
lower A team for sure in the tier list, for sure. Sorry, I was just getting flamed. I just remember E being like, "Dude, I can't believe you put them in top B or lower A. I can't believe
Well, they
it."
did make it to Sunday.
Technically, they made it to Sunday, yes, but they're in the. I think they're snugly at the bottom of A and top B.
E also said
I'll
that
say bottom A.
I still think they're an
I'm
amazing
okay with
team.
that.
I think
They're still a phenomenal team. I mean, yeah, I would say that the lowest you could put them is bottom A.
they tweeted.
Yeah, I had a problem with you putting them in B.
Yeah, I still wouldn't put them in B, to be honest, even though they got
That's
this
what I'm saying.
performance. Like they tweeted that they just felt like they adjusted to the meta way too late, and I fully believe it because they were still on the Seer for like a long time in scrims, and then when LAN started, literally nobody picked Seer, and I don't think they played in the first group stage set, so they got to watch as the only team picking Seer was FaZe, and then FaZe dropped Seer within 3 games. When going into Stormpoint, they just dropped Seer completely and didn't run him the rest of the tournament. And I mentioned that too in a preview about how FaZe and Auction, I kind of worried about them because of the Seer thing. And because they were just like, Reeds was just so good on Seer. And so then I think it kind of caught them off guard. They didn't play Seer, and so they played a little more of a defensive comp. And then finally, eventually during groups, they swapped Reeds onto the Bloodhound, and it kind of worked for them because they were way more aggressive on it. And they put Aiden on Horizon. And that like was their really cool whenever I predicted them to win that group set, because they did that like 2 games in, and then boom, they were like off to the races and dominated that set. But even then, I think like once the lobbies got harder, they just didn't have the experience on those kind of comps. So I think if there was like another month or two between Split 2 playoffs and champs, I think they would have figured it out and they would have been fine. But I think they weren't quite ready for the meta shift. Oh, also, and they had Lava Fissure too, which had like the crazy beacon spawn percentage. Like it was up there with, all the other ones, like the other 8 of it that I explained last time on World's Edge. And so they had like less beacon rate too on World's Edge. So there's just a couple things that I think like kind of threw them off. They weren't fully ready for, and they admitted that. So they'll be back.
One last thing before we get into the Aurora situation. The broadcast was awesome. The broadcast just keeps getting better. Every single time it keeps getting better. They had a lot of cool stuff on this one that I felt like I hadn't seen before. Maybe it was there, but maybe it wasn't. There was actually a graphic where they were showing every team's exact drop spot, but it was like a 3D version of it. And I thought that was really, really cool for people just trying to get into the game. And I think if I was a fresh person, if I was brand new, I was like, what is this? So they just choose? And then you kind of like get deeper into the rabbit hole being like, wait, these guys just like, they like stake their claim on this land. It adds like a whole nother aspect to it. I thought every single broadcaster did amazing. I didn't see basically any complaints. I do think the only holdup was not really the broadcast fault because they played it off well, but there was a lot of pauses in the group stages, and I think some of the bracket stage, there was a ton of pauses. But that's not really the broadcast fault. That is the team themselves did a great job handling it. And I remember last time there was complaints about optics. One of their PCs froze,
Yeah,
and I think there was 8 squads left, and they didn't pause the game. And then everybody was like, why didn't you pause it? And then they paused a late game, and everybody got upset again and was like, why are you pausing a late game? This is crazy. You got to make up your mind here. Do you want the pauses or do you not want the pauses? I think the pauses did fine, even if it's a late game. I know it stunts it a little bit. This is where we're at. We're still trying to figure things out. It would be nice if there was no pausing at all, but sometimes I don't think it took away too much from a team winning or losing. There's definitely probably a factor that it plays. I won't downplay that at all because that's probably correct. But I mean,
But I mean,
got
even
the
somebody
pauses we asked for.
crashing, like somebody crashing plays a factor too, you know? So it's like, which one do you want? Because the pause lets them get back in the game.
Lets them back, and exactly. And then there's no question about, the only kind of iffy question is, did the pause slow us up at all? But I didn't really see anybody complaining about that. Maybe there was that I didn't see, but we got to make up our minds here, folks. Do we want the pauses or not? I think the pauses did a great job. People were saying you can't pause after this level, but it's like, what level do you pick? Because I think the optic one was like a top 8 situation, so you can't do it.
The one where people got upset was because it was like 5 teams left, and it was because there was a fight between Dark Zero and FaZe that was like actively happening, and Dark Zero was going to kill FaZe, and they did anyway, so it didn't really affect anything. But like, yeah, like one of the guys on FaZe was like in Jen Burton's face. But I don't know if you guys saw, they released after like the first day, they released like a blog post or something detailing the exact criteria that meets a pause. Did you guys see that?
I didn't.
It was really cool that they actually put that out.
I think Shaheen. I saw Shaheen tweeted it.
Yeah, and so you can go Shaheen on Twitter. He's one of the EA partnerships guys who helps out with the B stream a lot. But he posted it, and basically what they do is when somebody crashes, the admin standing at that team station will request a pause, and it'll go back to somebody like behind the scenes who will push a button once they approve the pause. And then once that button is pushed, the game will continue to play out, but it like tells the game to wait until there is 2 consecutive seconds of nobody taking damage. And once that happens, it pauses. And so I think they should keep that system, because that makes it so they don't decide when it pauses. It'll automatically do it. Yeah. And all that you have to debate there is you could say, let's increase that 2 seconds to 4 seconds. You know, like that's what you could do if you want, because 4 seconds of no damage means this is a little bit of an elongated engagement. Maybe they're poking or whatever. So I think they could tweak it there. But I personally, hearing that system, I'm a fan of it, because it allows the game to figure out the best moment, as opposed to a human being just clicking a button and you're screwed. Like, you're in a fight. So
yeah, but like I said, broadcast was awesome. Broadcasters did great. Commentators did great. I loved it. It was just probably, like Enoch said at the beginning, as far as the Apex went, it was probably one of the funnest to watch as well. But this insane production value. And I think the upgraded venue really did wonders for
the venue. Was sick.
The entire thing. Yeah,
Birmingham was ass, but the venue was sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Were they selling merch and stuff?
Oh yeah, they had team booths and everything. That's why I've been holding up these jerseys. I got an Alliance jersey. Dark Zero gave me this one for free. This is their like new championship jersey. I got an X-Set and a Dreamfire jersey, bro. A Dreamfire jersey. That one is cool to get because they're a Chinese team. So yeah, they didn't have a ton. They also had like a Black Hand booth, but they weren't selling jerseys, I don't think, just like merch. And then they had a TSM booth as well. So yeah, it was super cool. They had all the booths out.
Yeah, just great job all the way around. I really liked it. It was by far the best job that they have done up to this point with everything, all things considered. Great broadcast. Okay, boys, do we want to get into this Aurora situation? Because it's odd. It's weird. It's a little convoluted.
It is a little weird. It's a little weird.
I got some behind the scenes on this too.
Why don't you start it off? Because I'm still trying to piece together what exactly went down. I'm reading tweets, and it's just...
So, first off, Aurora is the former Fire Beavers team, for anyone who doesn't know, which is Taskmaster, 9 Impulse, and Oirain. They were struggling to get their visas. Oirain got it the day before. 9 Impulse got it the day of, like the deadline day. Taskmaster never got his visa, so he could not go to the LAN, unfortunately. The reason they can't get visas really easily is because they're all Russian or from Belarus, and that makes things difficult. They don't live there anymore. They literally moved out to Turkey to try and make life easier to be able to compete in Apex. So these guys love the freaking game. But that happened, and so because of that, because initially it was looking like it was just Oirain, they got 2 subs, which were Uchaco from Entropic, who is originally from Spain, and Taxington, or just Tax, from Maestro, who's another EMEA player. I don't know where he's from, but you can see some differences here, some challenges. The Firebeaver / Aurora team all speak Russian when they play together. JHawk does not speak Russian, so they'd have to speak English with him, and they do speak English. Their English is just not the best. It's a little bit broken, but you got to do what you got to do. So once Impulse got his visa, initially they had the 2 emergency subs because they thought they were going to need them both for Oirain. Once Impulse got his, they had to pick one. And that one becomes like your full team member. And then the other guy is your emergency sub. Keep that in mind for later. They picked JHawk because I guess they thought JHawk was the better player. And he was at like Split 2 playoffs. Like, he's made LAN before. He was at last year's champs. He had played on Oirain's team previously in Split 1 when they were on AYM. Anyway, point being, or maybe not Split 1, last year during Split 2. Anyway, so they pick JHawk. They do not have the greatest of runs, and going into, losers, round 1, they decided that they wanted to swap JHawk out for Tax, the other emergency sub. And they told JHawk this, and he got upset and was not a fan of this. And then they posted about it on Twitter, and one of the ALGS like League Ops admin people responded and said, "You can't do this. The only way a team is allowed to use their emergency substitute is if there's an actual emergency. Like, you can't just choose to use them. One of your players has to be out."
It's not like a regular sub.
Yeah, you can't just like sub them in whenever you want. Like, there has to be a literal emergency that forces them to play. And so then because of this, he said they're going to have to play as a duo or play with JHawk. And JHawk sniped down, quote tweets it, and is like, this is crazy that they're going to play as a duo or whatever, because in the lobby, they load up as a duo. And JHawk responds to this tweet and says that they asked him to pretend to be sick in order to allow Tax to play so that there would be an emergency. And everybody gets up in arms and is like, oh my gosh, Aurora sucks. I can't believe they would ask him to lie in order to make this change happen. After, then Aurora posts their own screenshot of them talking to him in Discord, because apparently this all happened over Discord. They did not talk to him in person about this. And maybe that was because they wanted receipts or something. I don't know. But they sent him the message in Discord. And after the league admin had told them that they couldn't do it, Aurora asked him, "Do you want to play?" And he said, "I don't know. I'm thinking about it." And they said, "Well, if you don't, can you pretend to be sick so that we can at least have Tax and we don't have to play as a duo? But if you do, then let's run it and just try to win." And then with that added context, all of a sudden everybody flipped and said, we're on Aurora's side now because they did want to play with you and you chose not to. And JHawk's side is him saying, well, they were mean to me, and because they asked me to pretend to be sick, I'm not going to do it, and I'm out. I'm not going to play. Now, the behind the scenes thing that I do know about this is on the way back from the venue, I was walking behind JHawk after their last group stage set, and he was not happy about their performance and was very upset about some of the calls that they were making. And so I think the vibes were kind of chalked already, because I know that it seems like from the outside, this is just Aurora being like, you suck, we don't want to play you. But I think it was kind of both sides. We're not happy with each other. Yeah, because I just want to throw that out there, because it's I was walking behind him and I was in an elevator with him and they were talking about it, and he was not very happy with some of the decisions they were making. He was criticizing them to the people he was with. He was criticizing the decisions they were making. But the Aurora guys also in their whole explanation said they just don't have very good English, and they're trying to talk to him in English during the game, and they don't know how to communicate certain things. And so it makes it tough. And then when JHawk got frustrated, the vibes weren't great, and they didn't know how to communicate to him that it's okay and that like they can just keep trying or whatever. And so I don't know. It just seems like there was miscommunication, language barrier, all this kind of stuff. But what are y'all's thoughts on the situation?
Gamers being gamers, baby. Just gamers being gamers. It's funny. That's actually I actually think it's funny. I do think it's funny.
Oh,
funny
and for the record,
situation.
they did play as a duo in losers round 1. They did play as a duo.
Yep. And they didn't get dead last, which
Yeah.
I think is a win no matter what. I think this is one of those things where it becomes a meme in a good way, where it's just like you always have this one time where you place 36th, not 40th. You place 36th at champs with only 2 guys. That's impressive. It's impressive stuff right there. And the VODs were funny, just watching them run around as 2. I think people wanted to make like a very serious situation about it. I think it's just kind of funny. I think it's just like 2 guys were just like, well, like, guess we're just going as 2. And if you play it the right way, I think it actually is just like a weird, funny storyline that, I don't think it's that bad. What do you guys think?
I think people were maybe concerned for like the competitive integrity of telling him that they needed him to pretend to be sick. Like, I think that's obviously like an ethical dilemma that people would maybe make the argument for. So, and I'm sure the funniest whole, like, the I got on Twitter, bro, and I just see Tab, which is like the main guy that runs EA, basically like wrote and explained like they couldn't play, like they had to play with what Yuchaku, like they had to, or else like unless it was an actual sub. But they initially, I think, thought that they could just do that in general. And then Tab goes on and just explains, hey, you can't. It has to be like an actual emergency sub. And then somebody underneath him, dude, this is the funniest thing. He goes, it's essentially like, you know how Twitter now has the fact checks on like these videos if people give bad information? And they were like, this is essentially a live version of that.
Of community notes, yeah.
Community notes.
Aurora claims they're going to play as a duo, but in the actual rules, they're not allowed. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
It was like that community note that Twitter put on the one guy who was cheating at number 1. He was like, he actually did not complete this.
Yeah.
He was cheating the whole time.
Yeah.
It was, No, I don't know. I mean, it does. I think if you put this under a microscope, there was a team who lost out on the ability to go to champs, and they lost out because, and then this team just didn't play and just wasn't competitive because they were using only 2 players, which that does suck. But I mean, they didn't know this was going to happen. In the moment, they thought they can make it work. It doesn't work. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I think the root of the issue
make the most of a bad situation
is that they couldn't get their visas. Like, that's the real problem here, is that Taskmaster couldn't get their visas. Because last LAN at Split 2 playoffs, they were all there and they got to the finals. Like, they didn't like do super great, but as the Fire Beavers, they made it to the finals and had a pretty impressive run. So that's like the root of the issue. And I don't know. I thought the whole Twitter stuff was hilarious just because of like, yeah, technically they did ask him to be sick. And when you only include that detail, then everybody was like, screw those guys. Those guys suck. Yeah, competitive integrity and all that. And then when you like expand the screenshot a little bit, it's like, well, are you down to play? Because if you are, let's run it. But if you're not, then can you pretend to be sick? And it's like, now we're on these guys' side because they did want to run it. And you said no because your feelings got hurt. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny.
They had like their pitchforks and they were just like, they're all angry. And then they're just like, let's go to the other side.
Yeah.
And then they switch, they go around to the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the graphic, I'm going to start tweeting that out when like when the team I'm rooting for does something bad. I'm just going to tweet out that graphic where it just says 36th and it just shows their 2 faces and they're just like all happy and stuff. That graphic was hilarious.
They posted a photo
best
too.
Graphic.
They posted a photo too of Oirain, and it's like one of those things where you like put your hand to kind of line it up like you're holding something, and it's with the trophy in the background, and they purposely made it so his hand is like totally off, like not even close to the trophy, and he's just like smiling like this awkward smile, and they just captioned it and they said Oirain finally won the championship. They're just like clowning it. They're making fun of it because they're just, they're having a good time.
I think I might make on this podcast specifically like the 36th place award. I think that's going to hold a special place in my heart for all of the LANs coming up here in the future. I'm going to be looking out for that 36th place team. I'm going to try to actively predict the 36th place team. I think that's going to be something I do in the future. Like 36th place will now hold a special place in my heart because I thought it was funny. I know a lot of people. Did it end? Oh,
No.
there we go. Oh, there we go.
I screen
Yeah.
shared the photo.
If you're not on the YouTube, he's showing the photo right now. But yeah, it is. That's gonna hold a special place. I'm excited for that. Okay, boys, this has been a great breakdown, but we still have a little bit more to go. We are going to hit a quick ad, and on the other side, we're gonna break down our predictions real quick, and then I got some awards I want to hand out, and I got like a little thing that I can show everybody who's watching on the YouTube. We're gonna hit a quick ad. We will see you guys on the other side. All right, here we go, ladies and gents. Predictions time. We're going to go through our predictions here real quick. I had the worst one. Once again, it seems like I consistently have the worst one. Team Ascend, I predicted them to be dead last. Not only did they not get dead last, they made it to Sunday. And then not only did they not get dead last, one of the teams I predicted to go third was dead last in no, not third. My dark horse was dead last in 100 Thieves. What the fuck? Don't know what happened with that. I would not have ever predicted 100 Thieves to be dead last. They just did not play great. Other than that, I think my predictions were all right. I had FaZe first. They went 6th. Optic second. They went 2nd. TSM 3rd. They obviously won. Dark Zero didn't even make it Sunday for 4th. And then Moist. They were there on Sunday, but you know, they didn't get 5th. Finn, I think you're probably the closest one.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel pretty good about it.
You got your top 3, right? You got you got
top
2.
I got my top 2 correct in TSM and Optic getting first and second. I had LG in my top 5. They got 5th, but I had them in 3rd. I had Moist, didn't quite make it. We all had Dark Zero, just out of respect.
Everybody had that.
Yeah,
Dark
had
Zero.
to. Everybody had to.
You got to.
If someone didn't have Dark Zero,
I'm still putting them top 5 next time.
Yeah.
But
I'm still putting them top 5 next time.
KCP did make it. Like, they were a dark horse, and they made it to...
I have a bone to pick with the KCP dark horse pick, because for Enoch, him picking Moist made sense because he put Dojo in the top 5, and that would be like your dark horse.
You could say those are vice versa.
Right. Me, I picked Complexity because I just went deep in the dark horse bag. I almost picked Black Hand, and I wish I did because I would have looked so much cooler.
That would have been gross.
You would have looked so sick.
When
oh my gosh!
When you guys asked
like
me, remember y'all asked me the general dark horses. I said go next, Black Hand, and I threw Complexity in as my official one, but I should have said Black Hand, bro. I would have looked so much cooler. Anyway, I didn't because I'm stupid. But you picked freaking KCP, bro.
Dude, okay, KCP and Moist are basically the same.
But he put Moist because he put Dojo in his top 5. You picked all actual elite teams, and then KCP, who got 6th at the split 2.
Elite?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Okay, fine.
You're saying that Optic, LG.
Get rid of my dark horse?
You're saying
fine.
Optic.
I still got 3 out of the 5 right.
You still had the best list, but I just think moving forward, y'all can't be allowing a dark horse pick
we need to figure
be
out
a team that got 6th at the LAN before. That's
then
crazy.
let's set up some ground rules. Maybe we do that next time on setting up ground rules on the dark horse pick in general.
Because
what if we say the
dark horse? I made my tier list for split 2 playoffs, and they were a contender. They were up there, bro. I didn't even catch it when it happened live either.
That's fair.
Because I was looking at it and I was like, bro, why did I pick Complexity? I could have picked a way better team if we're going with a team like Pioneers, you know?
Maybe next time what we'll do is everybody's gotta have a thumbs up to make sure we are okay with that being a dark horse. Or
what if
we just
the
need to
dark
define
horse
it?
Didn't make it to Sunday on the last LAN?
No, hold on. What are we defining for y'all's dark horse? You mean a dark horse to win the whole thing?
That was a dark horse to win the whole thing.
Okay, because then I would have never picked Complexity. I picked Complexity as a dark horse to do way better than expected.
Well, should we switch it to that?
So that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. We just got to define here. Because if we're going dark horse to win the whole thing, that changes the equation. You know? Because then you're picking
what do you think, E?
That's why I was thinking about KCP, which is hey, they have a chance to win it.
Right.
You know?
Because if I'm going dark horse to win the whole thing before the tournament even happened, because would you actually have picked 100 Thieves? Did you think they actually could have won it? Or
I kind of was. Now that I think about it, I was kind of thinking of it in the context way that I did, just to do way better.
Yeah, exactly. That's why
expected.
I picked Complexity, because I was like, if Complexity gets 9th at the finals, that'd be crazy. That'd be huge, you know. Yeah. And so that's how I thought of it. But if we're going like dark horse to win the whole thing, I don't know. I would have picked somebody
Which one's
way better.
I don't know which one's better.
It's a
Like,
toss-up.
yeah.
We do need to define and pick one, or we can just have 2 different dark horses.
Yeah,
Or,
that's
like, 2
good.
different
Like dark horse to win the
things.
whole thing, and then like surprise
And then
team.
dark horse
Yeah, we
to
could
do-
just.
yeah.
If we
okay,
like both
okay.
of them, we
Let's
just
do
make
that.
them their own.
We can do that next time.
Like, why not? We get to make our own rules.
Yeah. This is
Like
our
we've all-
show.
I mean, technically,
F you
then
guys.
Wyatt,
We gotta ask somebody else.
Wyatt's looks pretty good too.
Well, who did Wyatt have? I knew mine
Wyatt
was
had Phase, Optic, TSM, DZ, and Moist.
I think the biggest balls pick is Enox, and it basically paid off.
yeah, the dojo
My
pick was
dojo
pretty,
pick. My
pretty
dojo
fire.
pick makes me look.
That was the biggest
makes
balls
me look
pick.
pretty fire.
Mine was
'Cause
the
it's
worst.
like
My list is the worst. I admit it. I'm okay with that. I accept it. But to be fair, remember when y'all said you want to do the chip thing and I said no? It's because
You
I
said
knew
no
I was
already,
coming in with some hot takes here. I was like, NRG up here? Like, I don't know if they're going to do it.
Technically, you didn't come
Complexity.
up with like, yeah, like your takes actually weren't super hot. It's just that Xset and Dark Zero just
Xset
did
and-
not perform at all.
Xset and Dark Zero screwed it. And the fact that I went I went so deep in the Dark Horse bag with complexity,
You went deep.
which I will
Complete
say,
assertion.
if I didn't pick them, there's a likelihood I would have said go next. And they actually did worse than complexity. So
yeah,
I was,
the fact that
yeah.
100 Thieves did worse. Oh no, I'm thinking of the wrong
They
team. I was
got
thinking of
last place.
They
in the
did
tournament.
get last place, which is rough.
They got
That
last
is
place in the
crazy,
tournament,
dude.
which is
That
Okay,
automatically
okay,
puts my
okay.
list last.
Do
hold on.
what are we thinking about the chances? So
no,
last
no,
place
save,
for 100
save,
Thieves.
Save that.
Why?
What you're about to say.
Why not
E.
rip it? Why save
Let's-
it?
Because that was
Yeah,
the last
let's
thing that I
finish
wanted
the
to rip
predictions thing.
after the
Okay, that's
trophy
fair,
thing.
that's fair,
I
that's
know where
fair.
you're going, and I'm liking it, but just wait.
I'll say this though. I think. Well, hold on. What are we saying about this KCP Dark Horse thing?
Do you let it slide? I mean, is any list even
We
close
didn't
though
even-
to
I
Finn's?
guess-
We had not
We just have
established
to get
the
rid of
official
it
rules.
at this point. I think.
Yeah. So if we
announced-
remove the Dark Horse thing,
If you don't even look at it,
Then-
Finn's has to be.
well, it's not me because I had
It's me and
Phase,
Wyatt,
NRG, and
I think,
TSM, right?
Well, dude. Oh, we are removing the Dark Horse.
If we
My
remove
100
the
Thieves
Dark Horse
dead last
thing,
pick doesn't
Does
count.
the ballsy dojo pick get Enoch?
But
Up
he
there.
It should
had
get
two
him
people
points.
that weren't even in the finals.
It's true, but he also went super deep with the dojo pick. Like that takes some guts there, you know? Like, I mean, come on, we all
I'm
picked.
the only person to put LG though.
That's
That's
yeah,
not
but
a big
LG was
balls pick,
way
though.
more.
That's not
yeah,
a ball
Sure,
pick.
but
That's
they've
not
never.
balls
They haven't
pick.
got a top
That's
5
not
yet.
balls
that's
pick.
true. Like, yeah, but
don't
the
know if that's
dojo
balls.
never even went to a LAN. They were an LCQ team, you know.
Dude, okay.
When was like
But-
like here's the thing why it's ballsy too is like even design hadn't been to LAN in like 3 years or something. No, when was it? Champs or before that? No, it was like
I
Poland,
think-
right?
It'd been a
I think it was
while.
Poland.
I think it was.
So hold on.
Oh, or was it Split 2 playoffs? Actually,
okay,
it was Sweden.
There's
It was
got to
Sweden.
be.
G2 was at
No,
Sweden.
Sweden's the one.
So yeah, it was over a year that design had even been to a LAN. Timmy had never been. Enemy like went to one, but he got like 37th or something like that. That I'm like to where LG like they placed top 10 at LANs before, you know.
Okay, there's got to be something that accounts for me saying TSM.
Here's what
won
I'll say
as well.
Yeah, the fact that you actually nailed the top 2 in order, I think is pretty spot on.
I would give it to Finn, me personally.
I would give it to Finn as well.
All right.
I do
I-
think I,
yeah.
have best take.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
You have
I would
balls
give
take.
best-
You got
the
I would
balls
give
take.
best-
Finn has best
best
list, but the dojo pick
list.
is by far the best take.
That's the balls pick, and
Yeah.
and honestly, some are saying the balls pick is better than winning.
That's
the
what
whole
I'm saying.
thing.
It's
I
like,
didn't say that.
It could
just
be the
some are
people.
saying.
The balls pick could be the people's champ. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. I didn't say it though. It wasn't me who said
Having
it.
the
Some are
guts
saying.
to put a team like that in top 5 is
Yeah,
like
it is pretty-
that. That's
yeah.
and then you're right, bro. Is sick,
Bro, and
you
people
know?
were flaming Enoch.
That's
too.
what I'm
They
saying,
were-
dude.
like people were like terrible pick. They're not even make it to Sunday. Not only did they make it to Sunday, they were on match point. and
Yeah.
they could have won the
they were
fucking
one.
thing.
They were probably two fights away from winning.
Yeah,
They were.
They'd have to
I
go
think they
beat
were
Blackhand too.
Oh yeah,
but-
no, they would have had to win a few more fights. But yeah, dude, they were so close. They were so close, and people will forget. Not this podcast, but people will forget. They were, dude. Imagine if they won.
if they
That-
won,
my
Dude, design
God.
would have never shut up. Oh my gosh.
I would have made $1,000.
I would-
from
dude,
a
if I
YouTube
was
video
him-
for the first time ever.
Dude, if I was him though, I wouldn't have shut up either because Design's one of those
Why
like
would
lightning
you?
rod people where like people either love him or they hate him. And like I will say, looking at the chat, I looked at the chat a lot this entire tournament. There are two people who people hate the most for whatever reason. It was him and it was Lou. I don't know why people hate Lou so
Okay.
much, but they hate Lou.
I feel partially responsible for the Lou thing, so I do want to address this full time on the pod because I like Lou. Like Lou is a really cool guy.
Sick flow.
I didn't go up and talk to him in person. I did see him multiple times at the LAN. I don't know how he feels about me because I made the Lanimals video and I did bring up all the clips of him versus Naughty. I tried to show both sides of why Lou was saying what he was saying. And I don't feel like I said anything out of line. So I'm not like saying that I'm a bad person or anything like that. But I did highlight that in a video that a lot of people watched. And now a lot of people are very upset about Lou. And the reason I feel like I take some of the responsibility is because that comment section is it just destroys Lou. Like all in the comments, everybody is just railing him for it. And the clips I posted were from Reddit anyway. So like people had seen it, but I put it out there to a wider audience. And I don't think I did the best job of illustrating both sides of the Lou Naughty thing. It wasn't just one-sided Lou was doing this. It was like Naughty also wasn't super great at responding to the criticism, and it was just negative feedback loop. So that's why people hate Lou. And Lou, I'm sorry for doing that. I mean, I was going to make the video regardless, and you're the one who said all those things to Naughty, so I'm not sorry for that. But I do wish I showed the push and pull a little bit better.
They were calling him Pooh.
Bro, what?
Like every time he died in chat, they'd be like just Pooh, like Poo. And I was like, damn, how do you come back from that? Like it was just they were just grilling him in the chat. I was like, I don't
because of the whole
understand.
animals thing, bro. People love Naughty.
Right.
They love Albrelelli.
I love Naughty too. He was one of my favorites. I watched every Lanimals game, every match. I listened to those comms. I did not think Lou was like over the top. I felt like it was fair because a lot of times there was a lot of like you said, like not responding or
he just had a lot of things that were like super nitpicky on Naughty that weren't actually the problem, which is what I showed in the video. Is like, he's criticizing Naughty. I think you
can say that with any IGL though.
Yeah, and like, so there's just like a lot of times where it was just like it felt like he was blaming Naughty just to blame Naughty when that wasn't actually the problem at hand, and that's why people got really upset. And I think once again it was just because at the beginning there were things that Naughty was doing incorrectly that Naughty didn't fix, so then Lou became more hypercritical on Naughty because also I don't know, I'm not going to get into the whole thing. You can go watch the video if y'all want, but that's why people dislike Lou. Although I don't think it's fully warranted. I think that he's a great guy.
Okay, well, so Finn, you win the predictions. I think that's fair. Enoch, you get the balls pick. You got the balls championship.
The people's
you got balls.
Dude, hold on. Can we talk about the guy that tweeted both of us?
Who was it? The guy who was talking when he was talking about
the guy that
Ascend?
died eating the hot chip.
Oh yeah, we got.
It wouldn't have been us anyway, so it would have been either.
The moment I saw
Jay or,
that, I'm not eating that chip. It would have been me.
I doubled
Let's
down
just
and
say
said
it would have been me. Literally, I had X at DZ complexity. Three of mine didn't make it. I don't think the rest of you had at least. You only had 2 that didn't make it, which was DZ X set. So like, I had 3 that didn't make it. And then NRG got that freaking 0010. I could have been so right on NRG, and they freaking choked it for me. And then unfortunately, FaZe just couldn't get it done. Literally, they hit match point, and then they got like the 2 worst storm point zones they could have gotten.
So, a lot of people were tweeting me, and they were like, "That would be so funny if Ascend just ended up winning." Or no, they were like, I tweeted something about my pick being bad with 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is karma for your Ascend pick. And I was like, don't start this narrative.
Don't
start this now. Do not start this now. Because they were actually playing well. And I was like, oh my God. I do have something to say about Ascend. Because when I was going through, I was watching everything to try to come up with my little Wyatt awards that I got here of just funny moments throughout the stream. When I think it was Kashira got up on the table after they won a game and was celebrating. That's a short king right there. I respect a short king. So I got to give them props for that. They are no longer my dead last team, by the way. Ascend, they're no longer my dead last team. SAF is my dead last team coming into this next one.
Not start a fight.
They are my 36th place team, which is a higher honor. So 36th place team. They're my new 36th place team.
Why not
But
the
SAF,
team that
dead
you
last.
literally picked to be your dark horse who got dead last?
Because I still believe, dude. You gotta understand.
So it's just because you like him. That's it, huh?
Yeah, I love
you
him,
pick
dude.
favorites.
He gave
here?
me my
That's what's
first
going on
big
here?
interview. He gave me my first big interview. He did not have
Who?
to, dude. He sat
Manmu?
there in Discord, yeah, for 10 minutes while I was a nobody. I was like literally, I'd maybe put out 36 podcast episodes. I had never done an interview. This guy had just won like 250 thou wow, and he's sitting in this Discord thing. I'm like, "Can you hear me?" And he's like, I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything. And then I'm like, can you hear me now? And he's like, oh yeah, that's better. I was like, hold on, let me switch. He sat there the whole time, so patient. I'll never ever bet against that man. That guy is awesome. I love Onmu so much. So I'll never pick against them. But they may not be anywhere near my list.
I met Vaxlon in the London airport because we were on the same flight.
There you go.
He seems cool too.
I didn't ask.
I thought there was a story going with that.
No, I didn't ask him about anything with the LAN because it felt awkward to be like, you know.
Hey, so how was it feel to be dead last?
Yeah. You can't ask him anything about a land that he places 0
Yeah,
at.
exactly.
You just gotta,
So I literally I just walked up.
Just be like, what you doing
I
here?
said, yo, you Vax? And he said, yeah. And I said, I'm JHawk, the YouTube guy. And he's like, oh yeah, cool. And he started asking me some questions about the videos. And I was just kind of, like slowly walking away because I didn't want to bother him because he had his headphones on. And I just didn't know what to ask him, because that's not related to the LAN. Because I know that like it's probably a tough time too with.
So 40th, eh?
Well, I mean, just if it was
so
like,
how much money do you make from that? Like,
if it was like he got that and was like still gonna be signed to the org and the boys are still gonna run it back, but there's just like a lot of question marks if that's gonna happen, and it felt awkward. So I didn't want to like talk about that stuff. Because I don't want to. Also, because like I make videos, I don't want people to ever think like I'm coming up to like ask you something to try and get some like juice for some behind the scenes thing. So I didn't tough because I don't want to like with the LAN stuff. I never want to make a video. People keep telling me to do this. I don't want to make a video about why a team did bad at LAN almost ever. Like I do it during the regular season because like of the way that timing works out. But for LAN, I just feel like it hurts a little different because I don't know. It's just different. So.
In person is way different. Yeah. I agree.
So I just didn't want to like walk up to him and like him think that I'm asking questions for some weird reason or whatever. So yeah.
Okay.
I need your I'm ready, Wyatt.
You ready for him? All right, I got my Wyatt awards real quick. First time I'm trying this out. I'm gonna share the screen. Does it have to be tab? Or can it be a window?
You can do window.
Because I have pictures in like a file.
Yeah, you can do window. I did window.
Okay, let me try this. All right, this is specifically for the YouTube, but I will describe them to the best of my ability. It's not showing the window. It's not like showing like my little.
I did share screen, and then on the top it says tab, window, entire screen. You just gotta click it.
Entire screen.
I mean, you could do that too. I did window, and then when I did window, it shows all my windows.
It's not showing my window. I can cut all this out.
How I was gonna say why it's technical difficulty.
I'm so technical difficulty.
What about entire screen? Why not do that?
It's
basically the same thing.
Let me see.
There you go.
Okay, so let me just close this then. Can you guys see this whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is it sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my first Wyatt award of the day. This is the way too close to their screen award. This goes to Enemy from the Dojo. Just look at this guy. This guy is literally, he is molecules away from his screen. It is actually insane. I don't understand.
This is a live nomination here. Can I nominate Duplex for this? I don't know if y'all saw Dupe. You literally couldn't see his face.
Yeah, we can nominate whoever you want. There was also somebody from Dreamfire. I don't remember who it was. It wasn't Roy. It was one of the other two, but he was inhaling his screen.
I'm going to try and pull up Dupe so I can screen share and show you.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I remember Dupe. So he like, it literally was just the back of the monitor.
You just can't see you can't see his face at all. You just see the monitor. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite awards to give out. Okay, next one, best jersey. This one goes to Fnatic. The second I saw these, I was like, that is insane. I love the fire. I love how it has a little logo on the side like a soccer kit. Just beautiful. Best jerseys go to Fnatic. Wish they performed a little bit better. Next one, this one's most passion, Dreamfire. Now, there's a video of this. Both times Dreamfire won, they were popping off. Specifically, this guy right here. I don't remember his name. Do you guys know
That's
who?
3MZ. He is their IGL.
3MZ.
They also call him the Sandwich Man.
Well, the Sandwich Man was popping off. His I have a second picture right here. Look at this. The Sandwich Man is full of passion, just full of passion at all times. I love the Sandwich Man. He's
Dude,
my
Roy's
favorite.
my favorite person, I think.
Dude,
on
Roy
the
is
planet,
also
dude.
hilarious. Whenever they patch in the comms for Dreamfire, I'm always just laughing, just watching. He's the least intimidating looking man, but he will destroy you. He will
Also,
absolutely destroy you.
I got a lot of fun facts about these kind of guys. Anyway, Roy, he looks like a child, right? Like, would we all agree he looks like a child in terms of his?
Little
he's
bit,
pretty
yes.
young.
He is a father. This man has a child. He is a
That is
grown
insane.
man. Yeah.
I love it though.
Roy?
Yeah, Roy has a kid.
Dude.
He's got a kid.
Yes.
He's also got a
Roy!
YouTube channel with like a ton of subscribers. Shout out Roy.
Shout out Roy. Roy's one of my faves.
I'm
And
gonna
then,
have to game with Roy sometime.
hell yeah.
How's their English?
I don't think they speak any English at all. So good luck with that.
Any?
I don't think any.
We'll make it happen. That'd be funny.
My last award on this slideshow, but I have one more after this. This is my Big Hoss award. This one goes to Waltzy. I gave this one out last time. He's just a big hoss. Like, I think if he played mouse and keyboard, it would actually benefit him more because his arms would be spread out a little bit more and you could see how fucking big they are. Waltzy is huge. He wins my Big Hoss award. And then I have one more award. I think it's going to end the little slideshow thing here. But I got one more. Oh, no, it's still here. This is our guy, JHawk. Can you guys see this? This is my
Maybe after
best.
this, full screen it.
My best celebration award. This goes to Complexity. Just popping it back. Just popping it back for
Kimchi.
him.
Bro, and they
Kimchi
freaking
Lee.
I pulled that from the main broadcast. They showed it on the main broadcast.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Those are my awards. Those are my awards.
Thank you for showcasing those.
Those are the wide awards. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Oh, I also had Best Rat, and I was trying to find the video, but there was one, I think it was Skittle, was hiding late game. I don't remember which day it was, but he was hiding behind a rock. Yep. It was that one. He was behind a rock, and he was just chilling there while people were fighting late
It
game.
was winners bracket, like game 2 or something like that.
Yep, I think it
Yep.
was winners.
Best rat, couldn't find it. Also, there was an honorable mention on that. Another good rat was Nocturnal exit
The Rat
late
King.
game. I think it was group stages, and he was hiding on Storm Point, and he had been hiding the entire game, and I think he got them like a top 3 finish. But I went with Skittle on that. So those are my wide awards. Those are my wide awards. The twerk was incredible. I think that was one of my favorite moments. And yeah, are you still looking for that picture?
I'm
Jayhawk?
still looking for freaking DSG because that wasn't the command center POV. It was only on the main broadcast. I'm scrolling through trying to find it. I did find the Dreamfire one. I'll share that real quick that you were talking about.
Yeah, his is also pretty damn close, and he's full of passion.
Look
He
at
was the
that.
guy who was the passion.
Look at that. This is
Look at this.
This is Pita, not 3MZ. This is the guy next.
Oh, it's
to him.
not 3MZ. Never
But
mind.
3MZ is super close too. Look at him. Look at him.
Yes.
What's
See,
with all
yes.
these people, dude? It's
Dude,
so close
but
to
like,
the
if
They're
you-
screen.
close,
okay,
so
but
crazy, like close.
Jayhawk, if you click play on 3MZ, look how much passion he's got up close in that screen. Look at his eyes. He is ready at all moments to destroy
Oh,
you. And-
yeah,
there's the Nocturnal. That's crazy.
That's a rat.
That's the rat.
Look at him.
He's just chilling. Look at him.
Nocturnal,
Look at him.
the Rat King, right there.
The Rat King. There he is. Hey, how about that?
This is
about that?
Dreamfire wins this game. I'm pretty sure. I was hoping that they would show DSG from this POV because this is DSG getting second,
Dude,
but
it
they
was
don't.
so sad that DSG did not win this game.
Look at
Look
that
at him.
passion.
Look at this.
Look at him. Look at the passion. That's why he's got the Wyatt Award for passion.
Hold
I'll
on.
send it in the mail.
Here we go. Look at him. Look at him.
Look at him.
Took the headset off, put it back on, and talked to his team.
Yeah.
Took it off, put it back on.
Give me this back. Give it. Did he knock Roy's glasses off? Roy had to put his glasses back on. Did you knock him
That
off?
man a father.
Dude, that is some passionate fans too. Like,
Oh, he's still going.
Look at
He's
passion.
still going.
the coach even got in.
He's
on
wearing the
that, too.
sweatshirt but has the sleeves rolled up. I love that.
Hold on. They won a game in the finals lobby too, I'm pretty sure, and their celebration went so hard. Yeah, it was game 2. Let me pull this up real quick. Because it was hilarious.
And then lastly, I want to get into potential roster mania. And then really just one thing that I think we're all thinking.
Is this where, look at him. Look at him. He's inhaling that screen.
See, Roy's got some
Roy's
good
chilling.
distance here between the screen.
Roy's
but
got
then
great
you go to
distance.
pizza. Look at that. Look at that. Bro,
Did
you
he
can't even see
what's
his
happening,
face.
dude? Does he even know
Look
what's
at this.
going on? Look at him.
Bro, the crowd,
Dude.
I kid you not, when they won this game, the crowd was so freaking loud. The
love
Dreamfire
it.
fans went so crazy.
He's still celebrating.
He's on the desk.
Oh, he's on the table.
He's on the desk.
He's on the table. Look at him.
I don't know why they keep cutting away
I
to different
lo-
teams and
dude.
stuff.
How I give this award to anybody else, I don't know.
Just hold
I
on.
should also
Just-
give out worst handshakes award goes to NRG. They
He-
just
I
cannot
think he
hit. They
broke his
cannot hit
headset.
adapt.
I think he
They
broke his
cannot hit
headset.
he
adapt
did
to
break
save
his
their
headset.
lives.
I think he did.
Yeah, they're talking about the headset. Hold on. Look, they're going to pick him up in a little bit, and Pita's going to start doing a dance.
He's still celebrating. The next game started. He's still going.
Oh, wait,
Oh,
wait.
there it is. There it is. Ready?
They picked him up, bro. They picked him
Yes. Roy's like, I don't want to be doing this right now.
up. Yeah.
Roy's like, please let me get back
Hold
in
on,
my
hold
chair.
on. I'm pretty sure Pita starts doing a dance, bro. And then 3MZ like grabs his man boobs, which is a little awkward, but no.
That's just boys.
I
being
guess they
boys.
just showed it in the arena. Anyway, shout out Verhulst.
Boys being boys.
Okay. You said you want to get into roster mania real quick?
Just really one thing, which is 100T dropping their roster for the dojo roster?
I hope they don't. But I mean it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I like all the 100 Thieves guys, but from a performance perspective and a brand like 100 Thieves, it would make sense.
For Timmy, it makes the most sense. Like, you don't have to change anything. You can just stay under your current contract and you still represent the same brand, you know? Because that's like the biggest problem with other orgs wanting to sign them is they don't want to sign 2 people. They want 3 people, you know? So
Right.
I don't know if they will. I think no matter what, 100 Thieves is going to make roster changes if they're not dropped. I would be shocked to see those boys run it back, unfortunately. And it's not even because I don't think they're like friends or vibes or whatever. I think it's just because they didn't perform.
You have to, yeah.
And
Man,
that's what they did
hell
with
of a run though.
that's what they did with Vayne too. Like, you know, at some point they realized they weren't performing, and Vayne was like, "We got to make a change," and so he stepped away. So they've done it before, but yeah, I don't know.
I would be
Who we thinking
Oh, go ahead.
moves on to that team if there is a change?
Well, it depends on what do you get rid of, right?
They gotta go with the roller, right?
Well, who
I
are
don't
they
think
gonna?
you're getting well.
If so, are we saying they're not getting dropped? They're just well, even if they do get dropped, like they're making a change. It depends on who they get rid of. Because what if they drop like Anmu, then they need an IGL, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
it
that's
just
what I was
depends.
gonna say. I don't know. Like Amu's feels like he's the one that's not moving because he's an IGL, and there's not very many IGLs that have won a world championship.
And him and Scurry have been a duo for quite a long time. So maybe they drop Vax.
So it's like, is Vax out? But then that puts like, who's gonna join? Also, I don't know. I'm sure Design and Enemy don't mind, but of course they're gonna be like, yeah, it'd be tight if we were on 100T. Like, of course.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I also don't know what the buyout looks like for the 100T guys and what their salary are, and and all that stuff. But that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest what if. And then the NRG change. That's probably going to ensue.
That's going to be a big one. That's going to be big.
I low key think if they do end up getting somebody like Koi, like that's just going to cause a really big domino effect. That's going to happen.
Well, even think about are you
And-
talking about NRG? Because
Yeah.
even think about that. That means Guild hits the open market, dude. Like,
That's what I'm
where
thinking
would he
too.
go? You know, that changes things.
I'm almost more excited to see where Guild goes. As crazy as that sounds.
Then who ends up on energy?
Yeah, like I really want to see where he goes.
Like, dude, like, because then
Because also, like,
if if Koi leaves, then that means somebody's going for Sentinels. But it's like after you saw what happened with Sentinels, you like frankly like how do you want to go to Sentinels right now? I don't really know. I mean, I know Koi did really well. He kind of was that shining point for them whenever they didn't make it to finals. So
Well, also
I don't
think
know.
about this too. Is like Exet didn't do super great, so like they won't get dropped or anything. But well, do they make a roster change? Because like I'm already imagining a world where maybe Guild goes back and maybe they
That would
drop
be wild.
Sykes. I don't know, or Sykes maybe wants to leave.
But then would Sykes go to NRG? Dude,
I don't know.
I don't
Who
know.
would you
I
guys
don't.
rather have, Sykes or Koifel?
If for who? For what team?
For NRG? Sykes is a lot more
For
vocal.
NRG. Yeah, I would rather have Koifel.
What about you guys?
But he's kind of still raw right now. Like
True.
the kid, like he doesn't have that much experience comp wise.
True.
But I don't. I mean, it depends. Can he throw a cat wall? Like I don't. I mean, that's a completely different play style too. So
Assuming Cat is still the
Also-
meta. That's the one thing is like it's gonna
Yeah.
be 3 or 4 months from now. So who knows?
Yeah, but also Cat is not gonna like. There's like no amount of nerfs that you can do that Legend's not gonna be
Yeah, that's true.
top 5.
The thing also we got to remember with Sykes and Xset is when we had him on the show, he said that there was a weird vibes thing that was going down when they were struggling at Split 2. They
Yep.
said him and Nocturnal were having problems. So they don't place. They do real. They not only do they not place, they do bad, like really bad. 18th and 19th place. Were the vibes bad? Are they looking to make a change from Sykes because the vibes were already bad? Something to look at. He said that on this podcast. So
Which is the only reason I bring up the Sykes thing too, because I love those boys. I think if they run it back, like they're gonna ball out again. Like this is the only bad performance they had all year. They were 4th, both lands, I think, 4th or 5th in both lands, and then like
Yeah.
they won NA. So like, and then they got 2nd the split before. It was literally just this. So, but the fact that like he said that makes me wonder.
because you
what are
kind
the
of go,
vibes right now in that camp? I don't really
Yeah,
know.
just
because
like
you
what is
literally
his
go from
mindset?
two. It's two really bad performances back to back. It's almost like I saw a lot of people talking about like the New York Giants, right? Because in the playoffs they get blown out, and then they follow it up with the 40-0 loss against the
Yeah, they're
Cowboys to
ass,
start
bro.
the season. They suck, right? Well, there was no games played between Split 2 LAN and this one, so it's like that's 2 back to back. I wouldn't say bad because Split 2 it started off bad. They were able to make it to Sunday, but this one is bad, and they knew it was bad at one point in the Split 2 LAN. So it's definitely question marks. I think
Right.
we will have a lot more time on pods upcoming in the future to do more like roster mania stuff because there's going to be a ton of it. But yeah,
Those just
it's
feel like the major ones though.
those are the major ones. Those are the major
Yeah.
ones, and we will be keeping a close eye on that. Boys, do you want to do a heart to heart, or do you want to just finish it out? Because we're at 2 hours 35.
Dude, this is the longest pod we've ever done.
We can make it like the shortest heart to heart
Okay.
check in.
All right.
Sure.
Just a quick check in. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gents, that should just about round it out for the champs coverage. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. Thank you guys for tweeting with us. Thank you guys for talking with us this whole time. It was an incredible run. We cannot wait for next season. I'm honestly super excited just for roster mania. That's always great. But we are going to hit a quick ad and go into our heart to heart, a real quick one, and then we'll send you guys on the rest of your week. Let's get it. All right, here we are, ladies and gents. It is time for the heart to heart. Anybody want to go first? You want me to go?
Yeah, go Wyatt.
I'm just feeling really thankful, really happy with life. Baby is on the way. Baby is about a month, 2 months out. Excited, a little scared, but I'm just pumped because it's not every day do you get to wake up and see your fiance. They're all pregnant and stuff. I mean, if you think about it, how many times is that going to happen in your life? 2, 3, 4, 5 at the most?
20.
20. It could be 20 if in certain states. But yeah, I mean, it's something you want to take in, something you want to appreciate, something you want to enjoy. So I'm feeling good. Your guys' heart to heart.
Dude, I am thinking about rehoming Georgia, my dog, and I know that
What?
that's very sad.
What?
I know it's sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. But I just feel like I have failed as a dog dad,
What?
and
What do
I
you
feel
mean?
like I feel like she needs more attention and love, and mainly more space, like to actually get her energy out. So
She's a puppy.
I know, I'm aware. But that is something that I am dealing with. So that's my heart to heart this week.
All right. Well, somebody knock some sense into this guy on Twitter. 'Cause, dude, you love that dog.
I love it, so I'm trying to make good decisions for it. So yes.
All right.
You think you're that bad?
Dude, you're
In a
holding her
way,
on
yeah.
the pod. You're holding her. You guys are chilling. You're talking to the
Dude,
mic.
I clean up her poop every single day. It's terrible. So that's why I'm saying
Inside?
I have failed as a
Okay, well, why don't you just like step up
I'm
and
dude,
be a better dog?
thanks
owner.
guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm just you.
No,
if you let me
yeah, for
know,
sure.
like, you
no,
love this
make sure.
dog.
Yeah, I'll for sure make sure I'll do another heart to heart for sure again in the future.
Don't do this, Finn. Don't do this. Not after last week. We had the best one ever. The best one ever.
You can't after last week. You can't.
Not this.
Heart to hearts are here to stay.
All right, somebody who is better than we are at talking to Finn about this dog. Talk to Finn about this dog on Twitter,
Yeah,
on
somebody-
Discord, because I just we may not be the guys for this. You know, we may
Yeah,
not be
just
the guys
because
for
we
this.
saved a life last week doesn't mean that
Wait,
we're going to be
what
prepared
happened
to
last
save
week?
a life this week.
We can't say it. I had to.
We can't say.
I had to cut it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to cut it out. But I'll tell you later. Or
Yeah.
Finn will tell you later. E or
Yeah.
JHawk.
Enoch, you got it.
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, so mine is, man, I'm just am thankful to be where I'm at and to be where I'm going and all the stuff that I got going on. And I just want to be like always mindful of that, like I have like an amazing journey, and while it's different than everybody else's journey, it's like mine. And like honestly, I wouldn't want to be anybody else. And I think everybody should feel that way.
Beautiful. JHawk, you're the only person who has ever done a heart to heart who is not on this show. You are the first one to ever do it. JHawk, your heart to heart.
I don't know. Life is in an interesting spot where like I'm not content with certain aspects of like my job, and I wish that I could do Apex stuff full time, as I know a lot of people probably wish. And so the LAN was like super cool because it was a lot of awesome networking, a lot of awesome opportunities, a lot of people hyping me up for stuff that could like be pretty life-changing things in the future, but just not quite in that spot yet. And so I don't know, this whole like YouTube journey with the stuff, like for anyone who doesn't know, YouTube ad revenue is not going to pay my bills, like not even close. Like I don't, for the amount of effort and work it takes to put out a video, I if I was releasing videos every day, getting the same amount of views, then maybe, but at my current rate, there's just no shot I could afford to live. I would go homeless and die if I had to live off of YouTube. So, in my current thing, maybe that changes because I don't have any sponsorships or anything like that. And who knows, maybe my views go up and everything. But yeah, so it's an interesting spot where like I wish I could live off of it and put more time into it, because I feel like if I had more time to put, then I could increase the quality and quantity of my videos by a lot. Because like I have 40 hours a week where I literally just can't, like I have to go to work and I can't do anything with my videos during work. So that sucks. And and there was some potential opportunities that would open the door to that being a possibility that fell through last week. I, kind of briefly mentioned that last week. And so it's kind of a bummer that those fell through, because it doesn't feel like there's necessarily immediately like a pathway to that. So anyway, it just feels like there's not like a clear pathway forward to reaching the goals that I have, that I think would help kind of open the door to so much more new content and things that I could like be accomplishing, which is kind of a bummer, but I'm still optimistic. I think that, like I said, LAN was super fun to be able to like network with so many people, and like the amount of feedback I was getting from people behind the scenes, and then also pros who I'm like meeting for the first time, but have known for a little bit, I guess, through like Twitter and, them seeing my content and all that stuff. And just like getting so much positive feedback from all these people that like I've admired and respected their work for so long is really cool. But I don't know, like I said, I'm just kind of in this weird spot where it's like I see what I want and I want to be able to get there, but I can't quite do it yet, and I don't fully know how to get there. But I'm just taking it one step at a time, living life, having fun, making some cool YouTube videos, and we'll see where it takes me, because the fact that it took me to a LAN, all expenses paid, was already pretty crazy. So who knows what doors. Yeah, it was pretty sick. And I don't take that for granted at all. It's just, who knows what other doors it could open. So hoping it does.
Yeah, I think you're in a good spot, and I think with a lot of people that we meet in this exact field, it always feels like we're kind of going to the next thing. But you just got to remember the fact that you're not satisfied with it is the reason why you're here. So just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job. We love having you on, and it's been awesome, man. All right, well, ladies and gents, we hope you enjoyed it. That was our champs preview. JHawk, thanks for joining us once again. Thanks for your time. It's been like 2.5 hours, almost 3. So thank you very much. And ladies and gents, if you want to join the conversation on whether you think we said something right or wrong, don't forget to join the Discord. It is in the link down below. You can also follow along with all of our social medias as well as JHawk's. Type in JHawk on YouTube and you will find him there. And he is making videos about your favorite Apex Legends teams or the people you hate the most. It doesn't matter. He's making videos about it. It is all there. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you guys next week for another episode of the Apex the Podcast. See